Well, good morning. Welcome back to We Think Differently. Is that a problem? Today we're going to have a fascinating show because we are going to be talking about what do we really know about dinosaurs in ancient history. And we have some different opinions on it, I'm going to say. I'm Michelle. That's my bro down there, Mike. And we have a special guest with us. And this is my son, Frankie, and he's going to join in this conversation today. So join us as we separate scientific evidence from popular myths, questions long-held assumptions, and discover why thinking differently about our prehistoric past might just change how we see the world today. So we're going to dive right in, and we're going to start with um, dinosaurs. Facts or hoax? What's your opinion on that?
We gonna start with your background. What type of void or did
What is
you
wrong?
get swallowed and
What's wrong
we
with my background?
we hit record and you went to limbo? Let me see.
What is wrong with my background?
The same thing that's wrong with the people that don't understand that dinosaurs existed.
Listen, tell me what you think because if you want to
First,
go
first
with
of all,
facts, go ahead with facts. I'm going to go with hoax.
first of
That's
all,
my opinion. This is just my opinion,
they're still
but
here,
I'm going to go with hoax
and it's
and
Hoax
not
about,
like
I'm sorry, hoax about what?
about them ever existing.
Really?
So, yes. So, you want me to dive in? Because I can dive in with it.
Yeah, please go ahead first.
Yeah. So, this is the timeline that they have for dinosaurs.
No,
hmm
I
Apparently,
mean, listen, if you have the opinion that you have that, I'm
mhm,
sorry, that dinosaurs are a hoax, right?
mhm,
So, in saying dinosaurs are a hoax, let me understand this, right? You're
mhm,
saying like they never existed.
correct, correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Hey, listen, and that's a good stance for you to step. So let's dwell into that. Do we? What is a dinosaur to you?
Um, a
Well,
made up
what?
hoax.
Excellent question.
I feel like it's a made up hoax. I feel like the whole industry about it is to create profit, money. I mean, look at it. Movies, books, toys, all these dinosaurs. Have you ever seen a dinosaur before? Anybody? Anybody? Have you ever heard anybody say, "I've seen a dinosaur before"? How did we come up with a T-Rex? And we know the noise it makes, and we know how its skin was. Nah,
Yeah,
ain't
yeah.
nobody ever seen no dinosaur. We can go back centuries.
Well, one
We can go
one
back to
thing,
when Jesus walked. Ain't nobody seen no dinosaur.
one thing, if I may intervene, is that the franchise movie Jurassic Park um,
Make
did hit.
makes billions.
Yeah, nah, it hit it on the nose with one thing. Maybe not on the nose, but somewhere near the nose. That whole mosquito stuck in the sap,
Ah, come on.
that can happen.
You think that can happen?
Yeah, yeah.
Let me say this. Let me say this. So dinosaurs existed.
Mhm,
This is, what the paleontologists and the scientific historians came up with.
mhm,
Existed 230
mhm.
million years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Million years ago.
yeah,
Now, mind you, we find these bones from
mhm,
230 million years ago.
yeah,
Besides, let's not skip the fact that they went extinct
mhm,
about 65 million years ago from an asteroid that something that destroyed the earth.
yeah.
But we're talking about millions of years ago.
Now that asteroid that landed in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico did more than destroy the Earth. It changed the Earth's climate, its global
Yes,
system, how the
yes.
Earth reacts and so forth.
Now, you believe that, correct?
Mm,
Okay.
sure.
So 65 million years ago, 66 million years ago, dinosaurs went
Uh-huh.
extinct. The big, asteroid, pretty much wiped everything out.
Hmm.
These bones that they're digging up,
Yeah.
now, mind you, um, the first fossil was found in the 19th century. Okay. So
Uh,
around that time, that was when I guess they started recording it because we've been finding giant bones,
uh,
centuries ago. Before that, they
mhm.
recorded this centuries ago. We've
Yeah.
been finding giant bones. I think they have pretty much drastically exaggerated this timeline about these dinosaurs living 230 million. We ain't found nothing else but fossils, these giant bones. I think it's
Mhm.
drastically exaggerated. I believe that we're talking about these giant bones
Mm.
from thousands of years ago. I don't
Hmm.
Okay.
believe in millions of years ago.
All right.
And I'm
I
gonna
got
tell
a
you
couple.
why. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
why because it gets so biblical about it also. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna tell you why. We didn't we had a time where, you know, and this is I'm talking about biblically because I believe all of it intertwines. Everything sets up like this. That's why I'm saying this is so drastic, exaggerated that, this million of years ago. There was no millions of years ago. That never happened. Hear me
Yeah.
out. This is my opinion. This is my
Okay.
opinion.
I'm following.
They say that ancient human bones are they can't exist that long. We ain't never found these bones, but we done found tombs of pharaohs and everything like that, right? But
Hmm.
they saying human bones can't exist like that. This is thousands of years ago. All right.
Hmm.
There's nothing else being found from 230 million years ago but these dinosaur bones, these fossils.
Hmm.
This is why I'm saying this timeline is really, really messed up. So thousands of years ago, there was a time when in the Bible it says giants um, lived on the earth. This is why the
Hmm.
flood came to, wash them out. Thousands of years ago, God sent angels um, down here for, to protect the people that were down here. Those
Yeah.
angels looked at the women that were down here and wanted to mate with them. So they made
Hmm.
it. I'm not going to go too much into this because these giants were called the Nephilims. Um,
Yeah.
yes. So these giants, this is thousands of years ago. I want y'all to stick with the timeline. This is
Uh-huh.
thousands of years ago.
Right.
Flood came, wiped them all out. I'm not going to go too much into the Nephilims. They were their scientific fact is that was 4,000 years ago. Okay, thousands of years
Hmm.
ago. Some of the historians believe and scientists believe that when they talked about them in the Bible, that they didn't mean literal giants, which makes no sense to me. So you're saying that, you know, this was not a literal thing. This was just something that, God was saying that there was giants on the earth, but, whatever. So thousands of years ago, we have not found none of these bones, right? We have.
Hmm.
We had. Um, the Smithsonian Museum
Yeah.
received these large giant bones that, whoever gave it to them. They received these large giant bones. And remind you, I said centuries ago, people been finding these large giant bones.
Mhm.
My thing is, I think thousands of years ago, whoever those giants were that wiped out, I believe that those bones that we're finding is their bones. I don't believe it was any kind of dinosaur. I believe it was their bones. And we're just making this big thing, this hoax, you know, because I believe it's a theory to move away from God, from the Bible.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. That's what I think is really going down. I think this big, because like I said, nobody's ever seen a dinosaur. It's nowhere, nothing. Nobody even talks about these bones that, we find in, and all of a sudden now
Mhm.
they're dying. Nobody, we don't know what no dinosaur is. It's a made up word. It's just for
Mhm.
money. That's my opinion.
Hmm.
That is my opinion about it.
That
I
was a
think those
very
bones they're
interesting
finding,
landing.
those bones they're finding, I believe they
Mhm.
were the Nephilims.
Huh.
Well, I mean, in this type of show, I mean, the thing, I guess the first question is, and that was a lot. That was a lot, but the one thing I will say is that I do believe there were dinosaurs. Okay,
Okay.
Mhm.
I have a
Mhm.
different opinion. Um, I believe that conceptually we can create whatever we feel in our head, the way we want to look, and so forth, and whatnot. We're probably looking at different things that we have today and backdating them and so forth. I think there have been bones that have been found. I think things do last that long. And I'll just give it like a funny joke, right? You can have a McDonald's hamburger last for 20 years.
Right.
All right.
Mhm.
Something buried fossil, I think, can last billions or millions of years. I really do. Right. Especially if it's covered. All right. We
But
find we find bones in old of humans, right? In
Mhm.
Africa, the first living human and all this. So that were, thousands of years ago. So let's just say
Thousands.
that.
What else
Hmm?
have we found? And not to interrupt you, I just have a question. What else have we found from millions of years ago? Millions.
Fossils.
That I know that. That's all we're talking about, right?
No, no. I mean, you
Mhm.
have plant fossils. You have you have the you have ice glaciers that date back millions and millions when they dig deep enough. All right, they age all that stuff.
Mm.
Um, Now, I think the problem is people for some odd reason think, because you say like, what else did they find? Like,
Mm.
what else was here? I mean, I don't understand. Like, it was supposedly vegetation
And
and
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs, right?
Doesn't
which
make sense.
which
Nothing. It
I
doesn't
think
add up.
that is the very simple answer that Mike is getting to, which is um, we didn't find anything else because there wasn't anything else. There wasn't civilization yet. Uh, the study shows there weren't humans yet. Um, there's a certain thing that happens that Mike did just touch on, especially if something is covered, which you said. Um, Going back to what I said when I interrupted you, which was that the Earth didn't just get destroyed once that asteroid hit the Yucatan Peninsula, and it changed the way the Earth reacts, meaning that there could have been a natural embalming that happened with those bones as they were eroded over the years. Um,
Millions.
Studies show,
Millions of
yeah,
years. Mhm.
millions, hundreds of millions. Um, there's still things that we're finding in the earth that have been here since the conception of the earth. If the earth could last that long, which is physically rock and molten lava at its core, what makes you think that the things that the earth produced couldn't last just as long, or not even a fraction as long,
So,
which is hundreds of millions of years, you know?
let me ask you a question. All right,
Mhm.
so let's say, the asteroid hit what, 66 million years ago, right?
Boom.
Right.
Mhm.
Wiped everything out, turned the
Mhm.
whole ecosystem, everything over and everything. From
Yeah.
65 million years ago to 4,000 years ago. What
Mhm.
happened? What was going on between that time?
Um,
What
Up
what
until 300,000 years ago, that's when the first humanoids started existing or appearing and so forth. During that time, 4,000 years ago, that's another theory that I have, which is that we were genetically engineered, and that's the humans you see today. But from the dinosaurs' demise up until 4,000 years ago was just ancient civilization.
Let me actually. This is how my mind works, okay? And I
Mhm.
get what you're saying, but think of it possibly in this manner. All
Wait,
right.
wait. One last thing before you start. We should know the dates that the first fossil was discovered. I think in the 1600s, whereas the first Bible, which was somewhere in Germany, was published in the 1400s,
hmm,
which means that the stories in the Bible and the transcripts that were used to write the Bible all the way up until the first one, um, that doesn't precede the technology that we needed to get to in order to actually record what we were staring at as far as the first fossil. It was turned in the 1600s. That's what we reported, but we didn't know what we were staring at as far as in the 1400s. And
All
everything
right.
that was published in the 1400s was written thousands of years ago.
All right. So
Sorry if that was confusing.
no, no.
okay,
I mean, I
I
got
got
you
it.
this,
I
but
got it. I
I
have
think
to.
from a
Mhm.
standpoint, I want to make it a little bit more, I guess, trackable.
Mhm.
All right. So think of it like this. Okay. You have the creation of the earth by bombardments, whatever the case may be, atmosphere forms, you have something that grows and turns into a dinosaur. All right. What we consider dinosaurs.
Yeah,
All right.
All right.
Evolution.
yeah.
Evolution. So we're gonna say
Right.
evolution.
It's a
Okay.
good doc
Amoeba
on
to
Netflix
So we're
about
gonna
that.
say evolution. That's how they were created. They just popped up on this earth and
well,
they were
first of
just
all,
created.
if you know what evolution is, and I'm trying to be real, evolution is a progression of growth.
Right.
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 So they didn't just pop up anywhere. They evolved. That's the
They
whole point of
evolved.
evolution.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
There was a lizard that then
Right. I mean,
yeah.
so something evolves. All
Sheesh,
right.
man.
It gets killed out of an atmosphere. Now, the way I look at things is that I try to make things make sense to me by reality. All right. And what I mean by
Mhm.
that is that if I have a plot of land and I shit on it, meaning I throw bottles and crap on it, and then I try to plant a flower, that flower's not going to grow. I'm going to have to till it, circulate it, fertilize it, and then grow. Right?
But that's not how evolution works.
No, 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 no. I'm not
Evolution
talking.
works.
I'm not talking about evolution now.
All
I'm
right,
talking about something else. What I'm talking about is the Earth.
you would start
Right?
growing
We're
shit
saying
flowers.
that the dinosaurs were destroyed by basically the change in climate.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So all that basically waste and whatnot basically filtered, died, whatever.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We've only actually investigated little less than 80%, I mean, 20% of the sea and 40% of the earth.
Right. Right.
All right. So, us to say that, they haven't existed, I think is really kind of limited, especially if we had found bones that have been preserved. All right.
Well, we
Um,
found their descendants,
right.
which
And
are birds.
we found old skeletons and so forth. And what I'm saying is that after that, there was a lull, right? That's why I was saying sometimes you got to let the earth, when you have bad land, you got to till it, you got to let it grow and all that. Because from the time of the dinosaurs to the time of man, it took time
Yeah.
for the
Uh,
world to be subject, for us to be able to live consistently. There was a
took another
lull,
millions of years.
right?
You know
From
what lasted millions of years, Mom? Grass. So if
Grass.
grass lasted millions of years, I
right. So
understand the substance of
and
bones and so forth.
and then you have evolution. So I do believe in dinosaurs. What I think, as into the simple fact is that it's easier, which is funny to me, to not believe in a dinosaur, right?
Mhm.
But believe in giants, right?
Now
And there
that's
has
an
been
interesting
But
point
that's a
though.
visual, that is a visual thing you see. It's recorded. It
Mhm.
says, hey,
no,
and
no, no,
yes,
no.
it does.
Let me finish.
If it's a recorded, it's a fact. It says
Nothing
it
has
right
been
there.
recorded about an angel coming down and having
It
sex.
is. It's in the Bible.
So is Adam and Eve.
Yes.
And you believe
That's
Adam
why
and
I
Eve.
said
You
this is
believe
why
Adam and Eve.
this is why I
I believe
say
Adam and Eve.
You believe
this
Adam
is
and Eve.
yes.
I believe
This is
it.
why I say this theory was created to move away from
But
God.
you don't believe in dinosaurs?
I
You believe
don't
in
believe
Adam
in
and Eve, but
dinosaurs.
you
I
don't believe
believe
in
in
But
Adam and Eve.
but
Absolutely. I
that
believe
theory
God created the earth. I
that
believe there
theory is
was no such thing as
uh,
anything that was here before God created this earth. There was no dinosaurs ever here.
mhm,
They did not exist. There was not we were this planet was just not sitting here 230 million years ago. I think
yeah,
that number is drastically exaggerated
really.
just so it can just look more interesting.
Mhm,
230 million years ago, you're going to tell me we had
mhm,
these flesh-eating animals
mhm,
just running around on the earth. Was nobody else here but them.
mhm.
They just evolved, as
yeah,
you
Yeah.
say,
yeah,
evolved.
yeah.
No, I don't believe that.
Evolved and
I
then
don't believe it.
devolved.
Well, I think that the whole evolution thing it gets tricky because you can't prove evolution. None of us can live long enough to actually prove it.
Right.
Um, but there are examples of animals that in
Evolution,
earlier, let's say
evolution,
30 years ago, they didn't
evolution.
grow these certain spots, but now they grow these certain spots now because there's a predator that, has been after them over 30 years. So evolution has forced them to gain more camouflage or something like that. Like
Evolution.
there's,
I'm sorry. Evolution has
mhm.
been proven, guys.
Well, it's been proven in that example, but as far as
It's been
saying,
proven
hey,
in
we
humans
came,
too.
elaborate, tell me
All
more.
right. Evolution. That's
Mhm,
why you have blacks. Why you have whites. That's why you have different color. That's why
mhm.
you have different eye color. That's why you have different skin tones. Evolution.
Uh,
That's why you
yeah,
have certain people in different areas that can swim for 2 hours underwater.
it's still
Evolution.
it's still more of a theory because it hasn't been a drastic of enough change in order to see that. Because you can, yeah, migration, say everybody started in Africa, the existing hominoid, and then migration after thousands of years. Yes, you now have squinted eyes and you're lighter. You're now darker because you migrated uh, down south. Um, and over time, culture, now you have a different language than them. I don't know if that's evolution as much as it is cultural assimilation.
How
Um,
is something culturally assimilated when we all came from the same culture?
Well,
Well, what culture is that,
we
bro?
If
What are
we
we
you
if we
talking about?
came
Where do
from
you think we
if
came
we
from?
if we came from the ancient African,
mhm.
that's the culture. The first human came from supposedly in that area.
Let's call it a genre.
Whatever. All right.
Hmm.
And you have a group go to migrate to Japan. Then you
Hmm.
have the American Indian. And
Let's
then hold
stick
Hmm.
it,
on
Shelley.
to,
I'm not finished.
because the
Hmm.
descendants, you got to remember we're talking about the dinosaurs, and when we talk about the dinosaurs, it goes through, they come through this whole evolution and say,
Yeah,
birds were descended from
yeah,
dinosaurs.
yeah.
Makes
Which
no
which is
it
which
makes
is
no sense
evolution.
to me. We're talking about
Why?
evolution. We're saying
Uh-huh.
that, dinosaurs weren't the first thing. If we're talking about evolution, dinosaurs
Hmm.
were not the first thing on
Hmm.
this earth then,
We
Yeah, it
didn't
was
we
reptiles.
correct?
never said that.
Yeah,
So, but all we
there's a
find
doc
is the
on
bones of dinosaurs. They
no,
couldn't have
No,
been the first thing on this earth because where did
hmm
they evolve from?
they evolved from a reptile that was already here. It was like
Where's that
just like there were
reptile?
they found the fossils of those reptiles
hold
and
it,
so forth.
hold
They
it.
found more fossils of I'm sorry, go ahead.
The
Because you
first
was making a point.
Go ahead,
I
go
mean
ahead,
the
go ahead.
first thing that started was water.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry, right? And then that's where life came from, my
Mhm.
understanding.
Well, that's the evolution theory. The creation theory is
Aren't we talking
Adam and
about
Eve.
evolution?
We are. We did go on a tangent with two, but I do want to separate the two, right? So the
Mhm.
evolution that you're speaking of
Is water,
is
amoeba, growth,
mhm,
out the land, turn into blah, blah, blah. Creation is Adam and Eve. That's the
yeah.
separation.
They join sometime later on down the line, but
When?
yes, you're around the flood.
Evolution and the Bible?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
There's geographical evidence that says a flood did happen.
No, 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 no. The flood happened throughout. The floods happen every 100 years pertaining to, right?
Yeah.
So,
And it's in
yeah,
the science books as well as the, religious books.
yeah, but evolution
Mhm. The
is
Noah
not
and,
connected to the
So
Bible.
after the flood, we all agreed there was a flood, correct? There was a
yeah,
flood.
it's multiple.
Man, I mean,
Okay.
I mean, there was a flood. I don't know if it destroyed the world, but there was a flood.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't destroy the world because we're talking about evolution. So after the flood, in the Bible it says Noah, he built this ark, God told him to build this ark, and he took with him two of every animal.
Mm-hmm.
He, took his
Yeah.
family
Mm-hmm.
40 days, 40 nights. Everybody knows the story. It rained. After the rain finally stopped,
Mhm.
I can't say where they were located. A lot of people say they were located over there in Turkey. That's where they found the ark. I'm not going to go into that, but that
Mhm.
is a story. I don't know. But he sends this dove up, the first one. This dove comes back, correct? With
Mhm.
nothing. He sends another dove out.
I was thinking
I
of Tom and
believe
Jerry.
that,
Sorry.
yeah, I believe that dove is the one that didn't come back. So he found something. He found some grass, trees, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So the other dove that does come back comes back with a twig in his mouth or something. That's how the story goes.
Mhm.
So at that point, this whole ark that's filled with people and animals and everything, we didn't evolve. There was no
Mhm.
evolution with that
Mhm.
because we were already here. We already had this. You know what I mean? there was no evolution there.
Well,
So
that was
As
only
far
a few
as
thousand.
the earth, the
Uh,
ground, the grass, the seeds, and everything like that,
yeah.
um, we we found that once the water started receding,
Mm,
that was already on the ground, that was producing. The sun that came out, rainbows in the sky. Okay,
mm.
that's already producing. So after the flood, I'm not going to say we evolved. There was a different evolution because we were here.
Well,
We protected.
evolution
wait,
evolution
wait, wait.
happens.
Hold it. Hold it.
Uh,
You actually think that there was a dude with a boat with two of everything?
Absolutely, that's scientific fact. It's visual. You see this. Absolutely.
All
before
right.
before you get there though, or that's a separate conversation. Evolution happens because of cause and effect. You know, if they were on a boat safe and sound and then found land within that time and even thousands of years after that, they would just continue on as normal. Um,
No, they
there
would
would be
have
no reason
evolved.
for them to evolve into
They
anything
would have
else.
evolved
Right.
into
Right.
better swimmers. They would have had webbed feet. Their lung capacity would have been bigger. There's people in different countries right now
Mm,
that they live strictly, majority of
mm,
their time is on water, on top of water in lakes. They have
yeah,
bigger capacity of lungs. They evolved. They have longer fingers. The connections
mm,
within their fingers are webbed a little bit over thousands of years of where they
What?
live.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
What? Tell me what this civilization is. Which civilization is this? The only I listen. I've researched some stuff and I looked at some stuff. There are civilizations that have not been connected to modern world today, and they're still,
Yeah.
in
Like
those jungles, and I
the
forget the name
Sinhalese
of
over
them.
there, the Sinhalese Islands over there in
Exactly, that
India
one right
somewhere.
there. Yes,
Yeah.
you can't even get to that island. You'll be killed automatically. They have not, and they believe this was an interesting fact to me, not to get off topic. They believe
Mhm.
COVID never even reached them
Yeah.
because COVID
Yeah.
reached the whole world.
uh,
But those uncontacted civilizations, they ain't have none of that.
yeah.
Because they
I
didn't
wanna
have
I wanna I
travel.
wanna bring it back to the dinosaurs
Because
Go
they
ahead,
didn't
go
because
have
ahead.
travel.
and that's the thing. You know, things happen and there is facts in what you're saying, Unc, because where you are dictates, your genetic makeup. Um, as far as reverting, which I think that could happen, if you're living, let's say, in a less civilized geograph geographical area such as Antarctica or fucking Alaska, um, you're more immune to the things that somebody in Philadelphia, PA wouldn't be. Now, that could be reverting rather than evolution because that I do believe were the humanoids. They had to go through that shit. So,
I call it a more simple word: adapt. Your body adapted
yeah.
to that
But
climate.
adaption, there's no evolution without adaption. Um, but and that's the thing about the dinosaurs, how I do believe that they evolved into birds because of the world at that point. It didn't make sense to be a big dinosaur traveling through soot on the ground. So over millions of years, yes, I do think that they evolved to have wings and feathers, and they're smaller now, so now they fly. And you
I mean,
fast forward to 2026.
yeah, pertaining to
I'm sorry, I just don't agree with any of that.
pertaining
No.
I
pertaining to
just
the
don't.
history of pertaining to the history, right?
Mm,
Is that once you actually had supposedly issues with the atmosphere, things had to evolve in order to continue to live,
right.
Yeah.
right? So you
Survival.
had smash, right? You get change in the atmosphere. You have the heat. You have the vegetation growing different. So things did evolve over millions and millions and millions of years. Things did die.
All right, let me ask you this.
Hold
So,
it. Hold it.
go ahead, go ahead.
All right. So things did die.
Mhm.
Humans are known to becoming millions and millions of years after. That's why we're still finding fossils of insects millions of years before we were here, before the first human bone.
Mm,
If you guys keep saying timeline,
mm.
all right. Now, when you're talking about the Bible, it's for me, all right. I think that the story of Noah was more of a symbol story than a real story.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You
I
All
think
gotta
right.
the
be kidding
animals
me.
were metaphoric. I think the animals were
First of
metaphoric for
all,
sure.
I don't believe that somebody built a boat and put two of everything on it.
Mm, mm, mm.
All right.
Two
Because,
cockroaches is crazy.
right. And the
Why would you bring
reason
roaches?
I don't think I don't think it happened is that physically, I mean, just it couldn't. It just can't. I mean, we
I
can't
mean,
even
we
put 50
we've
people on a bus.
but we've accepted other miracles. We can
Oh,
accept the
exactly. The
No, no, no,
Bible.
no, 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 no. See, that's the difference. That's not a miracle.
that's a goddamn miracle.
No, 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 no. A
What
Two
do
of
miracle
you
is
every
what do
animal.
you think that
happen
is?
when something happens out of the blue that you never expected. If a
Okay.
person
A
built something,
flood.
if
It rained for
if
40 days
somebody
and
built
40
something,
nights.
But
I'm
that's not the
sorry,
point though,
Shelly.
Mom. The building of the boat is what he's talking about. And
Yes,
having
God
enough
spoke to him and told him to build this ark.
but having enough tangibles to build something that can house two of every animal and then have a refrigeration system that keeps the polar bears cool and keeps the lions hot, that's not feasible unless
So
it's a
what are we
miracle.
so you know, you say that
Hmm.
everybody sit there and nobody knows who built the pyramids. Nobody knows. Everybody has
Okay.
their own opinion,
Yeah.
their own set, whatever. So
Mhm.
the pyramids are there. We see them, they visual. Yes, we see them. We know they're there, right?
Yeah.
But because we don't see the ark, we didn't see, a visual, even though they say they found it up in some mountain up in Turkey and they
Hmm.
have the visual pictures of it. But because we don't see this,
Hmm.
we believe it didn't exist.
Well, I would
I'll
need to
put
do
it
more
this way.
research. I
I
would
put
I
it
would
to
ask
you.
how big is that ark?
But we have
Put it to you this
scientific
way.
facts about it
I put it to you this way. You said that they found the
and
ark.
written
You
and
said
written
that they
it
you said that they found the ark, right?
in the mountain up there in Turkey,
Okay.
right?
Have
I want
you
to see it.
actually looked at the dimensions of the ark, Shelley?
Yeah, how
And
big is it?
it has to be
No, 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 no,
huge.
no, no. That was not my question. I said, did you look at the dimensions of the
No,
ark?
I did not. No.
All right. A battleship is bigger than the ark.
Really?
Check out the dimensions.
Okay.
All right. You
I
can't put
can't prove that. I have to
put
see.
two of everything on a battleship.
When did they find it? You know, there's a
It's
it's
literally impossible. All right. A lot of things that we read are symbolisms. They're all right. They're not 100%. All right.
I mean that's hard to interpret other than anything at face value when you read those verses about Noah and the ark in the Bible. Some things in the Bible you do interpret at face value, and I can imagine that's one of those things, until they start talking about Ham and how that symbolized black people, and then they mention that on the ark, and it's like, yeah, maybe that was a metaphor rather than, oh, he actually did get two of each animal on this boat. But when you put everything in totality, it's like, okay, what the hell did he build this big boat for? If it wasn't for all these animals, maybe it wasn't two of every animal. Maybe it was two of every animal he can get his hands on at the time. Um, and that was never explained, which is how I would interpret it if I did think that there was physically animals on that boat. I still
Mhm,
think it was a metaphor for something else.
mhm.
Um, did he get two of every animal on Earth, including two of each caterpillar and each butter? No, I don't believe that. It's not feasible. Not for one man, not for 100 men, not for 1,000,000 men. Um, so it gets tricky when you don't have a logical explanation and you are just leaning on faith and then have an argument behind it.
You know, it's
Um,
kind of it's just weird for us to say that we don't believe in evolution. I mean, and the reason I say that is you've had African bees mate with American bees, and they came out with new bees. We just heard
Well,
this.
what if we're
yeah,
looking at it?
I
What if
mean, no, no,
we're
no, no.
looking?
Hold it. Let's stick
Mhm.
to a damn topic, yo.
I'm sticking to your
Right.
topic because
So
I'm trying to ask, what if we're looking at it in a term of, you know, that every animal that we see today was here then? Because we're talking about evolution, right? We're
then
looking
what you
at it,
mean
we're
then?
looking at all the animals that we know today
Uh,
was supposedly been on this boat.
oh, okay. Then you're
See what
first of
talking
I'm
all, I
about
don't
saying?
believe in
Noah.
that book.
You see what I'm saying? You already don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But we're looking at it as if
Mhm.
these animals that we see today, the tigers, bears, lions,
Yeah,
were
yeah.
all evolved at that time.
No.
Hmm.
So so we're saying every animal couldn't have been on that boat or every insect, butterfly, whatever. Maybe
Yeah,
those weren't or they evolved after the flood went, after the flood came.
I don't think it was long enough,
What if
Ma.
we're looking at it in a different way? Because no, if
Hmm.
you think about it today, now,
But those events only
I don't
happened a
think
couple
every
thousand
animal
years
could have
ago.
been on that boat.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
was every animal evolved at that time?
But
Does it
here's the
matter?
thing.
No, no, no,
Evolution
no, no,
takes
no,
more than a couple thousand years to happen.
no,
And
no.
that was,
But the
And
whole
we're
point
talking
is,
about thousands of
mhm,
years ago.
does it matter if they're not evolved or if they are evolved? The whole point
Mhm.
is they weren't on the boat.
I, I
yeah.
disagree with you. I think that
And I
we're
got you,
looking
but
at it
what
in
does it
a
matter? What does it
Mhm,
matter if they were evolved or not? It's
because
other
the topic you were talking about, I don't believe that you had every two animal on this
were on the
boat.
mhm.
boat.
Well,
Right.
But we're looking at
let's
it
do a
from
think piece.
today. We're looking
Let's
at
do a
it from
think piece
today and the
and
animals
zero in
that
on
we know.
let's zero in on one animal, right?
Mhm.
Let's say mountain lions,
Right,
right?
right,
Let's say mountain lions didn't they were another type of animal
right.
thousands of years ago. They were bobcats. All right. So Noah had bobcats on the ark. All right. From those events happened no more than what, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago?
I don't know. I mean, I have no
It
fucking
the A bobcat cannot evolve into a mountain lion in the span of 6,000 years. It just takes more time. It takes there's so many boxes on that checklist that something needs to check in order to evolve into a completely new species, and it takes longer than 6,000 years.
So what if between that, and this is just a theory that I have in my head,
Mm,
between 66 million years ago and
mm,
4,000 years ago,
mm,
do you believe that a lot of these animals evolved, evolution start? This is when
mm,
the dinosaurs went extinct. Say, let's just say, and I'm just
mm,
playing on what y'all talking about. Let's just
mm,
say a giraffe that we see today with the long
mm.
necks.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
giraffe used to be this little teeny animal walking
mm,
the earth, right? Through
mm,
evolution,
yeah.
his neck got longer.
Yes.
Through evolution, his neck got
Yeah.
longer. They decided, evolution decided that,
Mm.
this animal needed a longer neck to survive to eat the food or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and they also grew spots.
And then they grew spots.
Yeah.
This is through evolution.
Yes, ma'am.
all right. First of all,
Yes,
right?
it's
No,
about survival, you know.
first of all, Nothing,
Mhm.
nothing evolves into a different species. Nothing.
I'm not saying it was a different species. This
No,
was a
no, no.
tribe.
Hold on. That was said earlier. You
Yeah.
evolve into a different species. That does not happen.
So the dinosaurs didn't evolve into birds. Then that's what we're
It's not
saying.
it's not a different speed. They're both reptiles, so I understand what Uncle's saying. But do you get what I'm saying, Mike?
No, no. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's not
Hmm.
species,
You're
right?
right.
You
I
can
used the
evolve
wrong
into
term.
a different species.
Yeah.
All
Like
right.
a fish will never
You
evolve
can
into a
evolve
mammal.
your species. Like,
Yeah.
there was pterodactyls, and then, from that, depending on wherever, you could actually say that birds, bats, all this, basically
Yeah.
disseminated. You
So
have
we're
this
going to say a
called
ferocious dinosaur
Hmm.
evolved into a tweety tweety bird. That's what we say.
You
A
say
rooster
an
to be
angel came
specific.
down and had sex with a woman, which created giants, and
Yes,
I'm crazy.
yes.
Well,
I mean, I feel like we're on the same thing because it
mhm,
says in the Bible doesn't, even though they speak, this was centuries ago, first of all. The Bible, when they started writing the Bible centuries ago, we're talking
mhm,
about six, 6th century ago, 10th, we're talking about around
yeah,
it, like when
yeah.
they started writing about the Bible.
Mhm.
Um,
Writing the Bible or the transcripts
the
that that
transcripts.
that made up the Bible. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes. Um,
I mean, you got tablets before the Bible. You got different stories,
Scrolls. Yeah, yeah.
right? So, I mean, you got a whole lot. And
mm,
what I'm saying is that during that time, people or whatever, people have listed things as a description in order to enlighten or give an illustration of what they thought, right? And there's been millions or thousands of years, however, to where translation has dumbed it, has twisted it, has conflicted it, has made it more self-serving than anything. All
mm,
right. So I think that there's a lot of things that from a standpoint is that you got to start putting A and B and C and see how they relate in order to
Yeah.
come out with an informed decision instead of dragging one information source and saying that is true. All right.
Yeah.
I am open to say that at some point I think there was a mixture of angelic compared to human. Or I think, right? Because there's so much weird stuff and so forth. But I am not closed minded enough to think that there was not something before me when I don't even know what I am.
mm.
All right. I don't even know what I'm surrounded by.
Well, that's the fun part. That's where
Right.
aliens come
But what
in.
I'm saying is that's the fun part. And it's not fun when you limit your information and the things that you want
Mhm.
to look at in order to come to a conclusion. That's when it doesn't become fun.
All right. So listen,
Well,
this is a point I have right here.
mhm,
All right. The biggest logical discovery,
uh-huh.
I'm sorry, was the Dead Sea Scrolls. Normal, some guy working a shepherd ran into I mean, I think a sheep jumped into the hole into this cave, and he tried
Yeah.
to get it,
Hmm.
and and he jumped down there and found these scrolls.
Hmm.
They are considered dated from 300 to 100 C. I mean, we're talking about thousands of years ago. These
Hmm.
were biblical books that were written out everything that they talked about. This is from thousands of years ago.
Hmm.
This is visual. We see this. This is facts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They
So what
didn't
are you saying?
evolve. They came from thousands of years ago. We find these biblical stories.
Okay.
You
What are you
know, um, I can't see. The only thing we have recording of is something that happened thousands of years ago. All right.
Mhm.
We know right here that God created the earth. He created Adam and Eve. These scrolls tell us this. Who wrote these scrolls and why would they write them about a story about God creating the earth?
Why?
These were all biblical books.
Why?
Why would they write a story or something? We find these out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
find these scripts, we find these books about the Bible for centuries, thousands of years ago.
Well, you never really know when you watch a movie or you read a book, you don't ask yourself why the director did that, why the author wrote this book.
That is to assume, right, that
Yeah,
you've actually read the whole screenplay. And that's one thing that I'm kind of confused. You know, we see information and think that that is what it is when we don't even know half
you
of
still
what
think
it is.
there's transcripts out there.
Of course, there. Every time
Yeah,
you turn
I
around, there's
truly
another
believe that. Oh, now
Yeah.
that I do believe.
there's
Yeah.
another interpretation. There's a more blah blah blah. There's it's older. It's
That's
this. It's
interesting.
this.
Right.
It's people.
I never had that thought before.
It's
That's
always.
I mean,
It
you think
depending on
about
the need. You know, it was kind of weird at one point. Right, you had the Holy Bible. Right, one point the ministers and everything only taught the Old Testament. Right,
Yeah, yeah.
only
I
taught
see
it.
where you're going.
You know, burn, punish. God is vengeful.
right.
Right. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, all of a sudden there was a conspiracy or a thought, and they had a meeting and they said, you know what? We're going to stop that because the church is losing. We're going to change the message. And now it's about the good book. It's about peace. It's about grace. It's the, you know, and then in the Old
Yeah.
Testament, now it's the New Testament.
I don't
Yes,
agree
Shelley.
with you.
Yes.
I don't agree with you. Absolutely not. That's not what
Yes.
happened.
100%.
No,
The churches went from punishment.
we
The churches
still
went
teach
from
out of the Old Testament. We still teach out of the Old Testament. What do you mean?
What
All of a sudden,
was the
10 years ago, we just started teaching out the New Testament.
but
No,
what
we
was the
teach
reason
out
for
of
the New
both
Testament
100%,
though?
for centuries.
100%.
But the
The
Old
new message,
Testament is the Old Covenant. We
the New
don't
Testament, we're
sacrifice
talking about
sheep
grace and
anymore.
God's forgiveness.
Do
Has
we
been the new
sacrifice
message.
sheep anymore? That's where you could say evolution come from. But because
Yeah,
we don't sacrifice sheep anymore. The New
Revelation.
Testament adapted to what our culture is right now. Do you go sacrifice a sheep in your yard? No,
Well, it's one thing to
that was
talk
the
about.
Old Covenant.
It's one thing to talk about the sentient progression of humans in terms of evolution, but the physical flesh as far as evolution is a completely different story. I don't think that we can compare our evolution to that of the earths and the animals. I said to Unc last pod that I do think that we may be an infestation on this planet, which kind of gives credence to dinosaurs being here, as I do believe this planet was for animals.
Wow, interesting.
And we kind of just there might have been a caveman type of humanoid, what's the Neanderthal type of thing here. And
They were
then
called
I think
Nephilium.
that
They were
the
called the Nephilium.
I think the Nephilim.
Nephilim.
Yes, I think the
You know,
Nephilim
they did
came.
not. Yeah.
I think they came a little later on once
Yeah,
the
dinosaurs and humans, they weren't nowhere
no,
near each other.
yeah,
That's
I
why
don't
I
think
say
that
they
happened.
did not exist. We're talking about something 230 million years ago.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah,
timeline is drastically exaggerated. And I said that 3 times. There was nothing they saw from 230 million years ago. I believe this is thousands of years ago. I'm talking about the timeline. I believe in the
yeah,
big bones that they found. I don't
yeah.
believe they were called dinosaurs.
So
I
you
think the
believe
timeline is
humans?
it's so exaggerated.
So you believe
Mm.
humans had a Tyrannosaurus face?
No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's just
So did they
because the
make that
skulls
bone?
were
Did they make
yeah.
that bone?
I believe I just said it's a hoax, sir. It's a hoax. They made
And
that. That
But
ain't
the
never,
hoax,
that never
they
was
found these bones hundreds of years ago, Shelley. What kind?
from something they said came 230 million years ago.
All right,
million years ago.
but who were they hoaxing hundreds of years ago when they
I
found a
said
bone?
to you, it's a money
Mhm.
franchise. It's
Mhm.
a money they make billions off of this. Billions off of this.
So the dinosaur community came before the Rockefellers.
What?
I mean, that's a good question, Mom, because what you're saying is that
When did the
if
Rockefellers come? Let me see.
if you're saying that the dinosaur
Because we're
was,
talking about, we're not talking about thousands of years ago. You,
but
you moved the
you're
timeline
talking
up.
about the Rockefellers came no more than what, the 1800s maybe. But you're talking about an industry that somebody's been milking since the 1600s. You know,
No,
this is before
we
Jurassic Park
didn't.
and so forth.
The
Um,
first fossil was
mhm.
found in the 19th century. The first
No, no, no,
fossil.
no. It was before that.
We've been finding both. The first recorded fossil
No,
was
I'm
in the
telling you, the first
19th
recorded
century.
one was in the 1600s. The first recorded
I
one
don't
was in the
have that. Let me
1600s,
see.
which is like the 17th century. It's like 1670 or something like that. Check it out.
Okay.
Um, but that would definitely mean that somebody has been milking this, archaeologists, uh, what are the paleontologists,
Mhm.
have been milking this industry for a while now. And
And paleontologists, they
mhm,
don't get a lot of funding to go dig around on the earth. They gotta fight for that funding.
yeah, that adds to the argument that it's definitely something that nobody cares about, but nerds that just want to dig up bones and say, hey, look, I found this giant animal, and make movies about it and so forth. I think that's where the funding and the banking off of the backs of these skeletons comes from. But it is still interesting to say that it is a plot against the church,
The
you
first
know.
dinosaur bone was found in the 1600s.
It says
Yeah,
between the 16 and the 1700s.
yeah, it was found in this, yeah.
1697
But
was
it does say humans have been finding fossils for thousands of years.
I'm
right,
sure
They
some were
didn't know
found
what
before
they
that.
were.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
but my point
So
was
this scientist decided to say, okay,
Mhm.
we don't know what these bones are, even though during this time we have the Bible, we have the stories, we have the biblical. We didn't find the Dead Sea Scrolls until 1947 or something around that time, correct?
Yeah, later on.
Which
Yeah,
told the story about the Nephilims.
yeah.
Told the story about that. You see
Mhm.
where I'm going? So
Yeah.
I don't.
before that, you
Mhm.
know, we don't know what these bones are. We can't, we discover these large bones, these big
Mhm.
bones. Some scientists at this time says, oh, this is a dinosaur bone. What?
All right, so
How did you get this word,
when we take
dinosaur?
a
Let's talk about the
fossil, when
word.
we
How
take
did
a
we get this
fossil
word?
of a pterodactyl with a wingspan, right, and we
Mhm.
measure it, this is how we come up with these ideas. This is
Mm.
how we extrapolate. We take bones and we
But we
extrapolate.
said that's what it was. It's a pterodactyl. We ain't never seen a pterodactyl. Or ain't never heard of a pterodactyl. But
I
we
never
made this
I
word,
never
and they
seen
got
a
this big
angel
wingspan.
in a giant. I never seen a giant before.
But it's written. It's written.
So is dinosaur.
It's not written. We are digging in the ground. Now,
Uh-huh.
remember we said
Yeah.
thousands of years ago, they've been finding these big bones.
Yeah.
Been
Now
finding these big bones, didn't know what it was. This
mhm.
this one scientist said, you know what? We're gonna call this a dinosaur. This is a dinosaur right here.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
mean,
guess what? And it lived 230 million years ago.
You know what?
This is what we
You know
came up
what?
with.
And
These
Shelly, in the
vicious
same
eating
vein,
animals.
We did the same thing when a human went down and said, you know what? That's a dandelion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a dandelion was 1,000,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That ain't
I
what
don't
they
know if you
said.
know
God
it, Ma,
created Earth.
but you're
God named
just
everything.
talking about just natural progression of
Just
how we
naming stuff.
discover and name things.
Yeah,
The
a
the
dandelion.
the thing is that we don't there's a um a kind of a line here where we have dogma versus tangible evidence that we could put our hand on. And that's a part of a larger group
Mhm.
of things that we're like, okay, this is proven, this is confirmation, and so forth. The thing is that we have other fossils that were found besides dinosaur fossils. You know, I know you've seen that little spiral armadillo thing fossilized. There's also those insects, which is why I said early on that hey, that whole mosquito being trapped and um, preserved over years can happen if it's trapped in like some tree
No,
sap
we
from
got a
back then or
fossil of
something.
a megalogon.
What is a megalodon? What is that?
Giant shark. It's a big shark.
Another fun fact. Sharks
Mm.
been on this earth for a long time. They've been here for
Uh,
a long time.
Alligators, crocodiles, but you're talking about apex predators. Evolution is about survival. Why would you have to evolve if you're an apex predator?
They
Unless
got they
your
you
environment
have
changed.
is that
Your
you have
environment
historians
changed,
and
right?
scientists that
Your
think
Mm,
your
that
your
sharks been here since they've been in the waters.
your
They
food is
actually
mm,
different.
been in the water since.
Now you have more salt water, right?
yeah, yeah,
Cold levels of the ocean change. They go higher, they go lower, which
Mhm.
restricts your food. I mean, there's so
hmm
many things that we don't know that we do know. You
yeah,
understand what I'm saying?
No,
So I mean,
let
this
me.
is not.
I got a good point right here. Let me say this. In 1676, the guy named was Robert Plot. He
mm,
described and found a big bone in England. In
mm,
England, he didn't know what it was. He didn't recognize it. He found a big bone. Now scientists say, "Oh yeah, that was a dinosaur bone he found."
yeah. I mean, you're allowed once you have the technology to go back and update your old discoveries, you're allowed to do that. That's fair to say
I
no.
think that was an evolution. Humans been finding fossils for thousands of years, but
Mm,
understanding what they actually were developed gradually over
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Well,
Gradually over
well,
time.
and I do apologize, right? But if you dig into the ground and you see this big ass bone, you
Mhm.
don't know what it is,
Yeah, you don't.
right? So
yeah,
gradually over time, you're going to learn what that is.
No, you're going to
yeah.
make up what it is.
Well,
There's also that aspect.
well,
You
I
know,
mean,
once you have
be honest,
power, with
everything that we do is made up, yo.
yeah, and then we
Uh,
have little sprinkles of truth on it that allow
right.
us
No,
to
what I'm
form
saying
our
is
own head canon.
everything is made up. What I'm saying, all right, everything
Uh,
1, 2, 3 is made up.
yeah, yeah.
ABC is made up. I mean,
Now,
come
now,
on, yo.
but
Yeah.
would you give credence now to my proclamation that we're in just an infestation here? Like we were placed here. We weren't naturally evolved here. Like we didn't. I know our evolution says it doesn't say we came from monkeys. That was debunked years ago. It says that we basically came from fucking
And
seaweed
a
or
scientist made
tadpoles
that
or
up.
something.
That was a big
You know.
hoax. The scientists made that up, remember?
Well, it's
That
it's
we
all it's all theoretical until it's
Well,
confirmed.
I mean, everything is made up. The Bible is made up. The different religions are
you
made up.
you are
It's it's
out
it's
your
more
mind. The
it's
No, no,
more
Bible
no.
is not
dogma.
made
See,
up. We have
and
the
this is
scrolls.
where this is
We have the
and
teachings.
in
This is
all
being
honesty,
made up.
this is where people lose their damn mind and it makes no sense. All right,
Mm, mm.
Mm,
all right. We think this is the you can say, all right, 1 plus 1 is made up, right? Humans made
yeah,
that up,
yeah.
right? But what's in
They
the Bible
created it.
is
They
what's
created.
but
They
what's in the
created arithmetic. They created. Who created that?
Same thing, Mom.
Yes.
Same thing. It's
it's
made
the
up.
Okay.
same
I
thing,
understand
man.
what you're saying. It wasn't
It's
made
just
up. They
derived. It's
created it.
derived. It's derived from something else that's made up. if you figured out a system to say, hey, this star, like the constellation system,
Mhm.
you know, all you figured out how to connect these stars to
Right,
make a Big Dipper.
right.
You made that up,
Lost civilizations created that. Yeah, right, right. They
you
they
know.
they created astronomy. They used to worship
Yeah,
astronomy.
yeah, and we made it up,
Right,
you know, because God created everything. We didn't create
right,
anything,
right.
you know. So until we can say, hey, big guy, what is this actually? We made it up.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just kind of something that we all accept because there is no hierarchy. We can have a conversation with, or at least a conversation that we can understand, a conversation on our level, you know. So everything that we do is just something that we all agree on. It's like the concept of time. You know, we don't know what the hell time is. We just use it to measure change,
It
but
was
we all
created.
agree.
That was created also.
Yeah,
Um,
and we all agree that it's 11:32, you
right,
know, but who's to say that it's actually 11:32? We
correct.
made it up.
Or actually, what is 11:32? I mean, if you want to get down to the concept of it, what is
You
11?
know,
We
but
Right,
put
it's
that as, that's time. All right.
yeah, but once you take that away, we have nothing. So it's not ideal to think like, hey, we just made everything up. It takes away all of our accomplishments, and you know, ironically, it takes away all of our evolution. Um, so I agree that we created things. It's just we don't have the knowledge of what created us to say that anything that we doing is even accurate.
right. Yeah, I mean, you have so many myths, so many different opinions on, just, anything that happened. I mean, I
Mhm.
just don't,
Like the
I'm going to say,
Anunnaki.
yeah, I don't feel like, we know anything. I don't even feel like the earth existed 230 million years ago. That's my opinion.
Really?
I don't think none
Do
of
you
that
believe in
ever
the Big
happened.
Bang? You think the
I
Big
don't
Bang
really,
happened, or
I
it was
don't,
God that created the
I
void
believe,
and
I believe God created the earth
hmm
thousands of years ago.
hmm
Um, I believe the stories in the Bible. I believe the stories, um, the Ethiopian Bible. I believe that's one of the truest Bibles there is. Uh,
really? Is it because
it,
it has everything in it?
that could be it. That could be it. I believe that, at some point when those scholars and, Rome pretty much ruled the world at that
Yeah.
time. We talking about centuries, hundred thousands of years ago when Rome pretty much ruled the world,
hmm
and they started putting these scrolls that were found and stories and everything, and took out what they didn't want us to read.
Yeah.
I believe that, those stories that are in the Ethiopian Bible, um, do they are facts. I believe they are true. Um,
Okay.
do you know that Rome actually has, I mean, well, we're going to talk about, this is just it's not much off topic, but
The Vatican.
they have a room. You can't even get in there. It's all everything that ever
Yeah.
was done centuries ago. Anything
Yeah.
they ever did, talked about. This room is so off limit. You can't get to it. You are not allowed in it. And I think it's only three or four people that has the key to go to it or whatever it is, whatever they use, the security you use. I got to look it
Yeah.
up again. But
That leads me to my question though. How do you, and Mike, because he is also a man of faith, how do you feel knowing that there's so much control and, dare I say, manipulation
mm,
within the hierarchy and the gatekeepers of the
Hold it,
information?
hold it. First of all, let me tie this down a little bit. All right.
Uh,
First of all, I do believe in dinosaurs.
mhm,
uh,
All
yeah,
right. I don't believe in the
that
ark
way. Mhm. But you
that it
believe
you
in
don't have
captured.
to
dinosaurs.
believe in the arc. You
No, no,
just have
no.
to believe in the
Hold
concept
on.
around
You didn't
that
let me
story.
finish. I didn't. I
Sorry.
don't believe in the ark that it captured two of everything
Mhm,
and it sailed for 40 days and 40 nights. All
mhm,
right. I don't believe that. All right. I believe that the Nile flooded and a story was told and a person built something and saved a group of people. All right. I don't think that repopulated the world.
Mhm.
All right. That's just my thought. I do believe that there could have been some type of thing where you had some type of angelic, or however we want to consider them, angels populate or commingle with humans.
Mhm.
I do believe that there's different types of religion, as there are people that evolved in different areas of the world that created their own faith, their own
Right.
origin.
Right.
Because the one thing that we know today is every time we go through trouble, we look for something higher to help us. So I
Right.
believe that every culture had something.
Mhm.
Okay. And I believe it was written down, and specifically where the intelligence comes from is that it's our job to review all this stuff as much as we can and come up with an educated, open
Oh,
thought.
you're like me, or I'm like you.
All
Like
right.
there's a story, and we may need both science and religion to figure it out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Um,
think, right.
Mhm.
But to say one is this and this, I do believe in evolution. I do believe that things can go from one to another because it has happened.
yeah.
Changing area, changing shit. People have never mind, I'm not. But anyway, Bobby
Mhm.
Brown. Remember how he first looked, and then when he got money, he evolved.
You know
Well,
what?
we find new species, and it'd be remiss to say that we didn't mistakenly say, "Hey, this tiger evolved from this," when actually, no, this tiger was just a species that we never found until now.
Hey, listen, I
Um,
mean, anything could be anything, but more so than
So much of it is so, it's like you contradict everything. It's so, one scientist
or
says
you can
this.
say everything is true.
it's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction when you don't hold something to your heart. It's just another point of view. All right.
I guess you could
When
say.
when you go, I am right.
Mhm.
You are wrong.
Mhm.
That's when a person comes,
I
that's
agree.
you're contradicting my thought.
Right,
I
I'm just
agree.
right,
saying,
right,
hey,
right.
listen, I don't believe
Well,
in
let me
this.
say it's just no, I think it's very inconsistent. The data, the facts,
What is it? What in
they
anything
say,
is
you
consistent?
know, everything, you don't believe that, the ark ever existed, that, Noah put two of everything on the ark.
No.
Um, Scientists says there's no explanation on how each of those animals reached distant continents afterwards. That's what scientists they
Yeah.
say, how did they, if the ark landed in Turkey, how did
Mm,
that giraffe get to North America?
yeah.
That they try
Yeah.
to contradict, the Bible.
Because there's just entirely too many inconsistencies everywhere.
Correct,
But
correct.
Well,
that's
I
what
mean,
leaves the
first
door
off,
open for
right,
interpretation.
but one story
But you
doesn't
don't
mean
think
the
there's
other.
no inconsistency in dinosaurs?
No, no. What I'm listen, guys. There is a
Uh,
consistency if you read all the information,
right.
right? There's information spread in different formats. You got to read it all.
Right.
At one point, the Earth was a whole mass.
Mm,
Hmm. Hmm.
All right. Over evolution, over time, that mass separated. That's where you got the evolution of different animals growing up looking differently.
Watch Eric Dubay. He has this flat Earth um thing. It's just so crazy. You got to watch this
Do
guy.
you
But go
believe in
ahead.
a, do you believe in a flat Earth, Shelley?
I really don't know what to believe.
Oh,
It's a lot to take in.
just
Because
look at Unk's background.
look at your background. Exactly. Look at your background. Your background from space says the Earth is round. We don't
Mm,
know if we ever went to space, or is this a big hoax? That's a big thing that goes on, a lot of
uh,
conversation around that. You know,
uh,
um, are we in just a different atmosphere? Did we ever really go out? It's levels of the atmosphere.
uh,
Where are we really? Because we got satellites up there. That's how we
mm.
talking right now. That's how we're all on here right now.
She,
We
hey,
have
Frankie,
satellites.
she watched our last show, Frank.
Oh, y'all, that was excellent.
That's
That
what you're
was
getting
really
at.
good. That was really good. But I don't know what to think about whether the earth is flat or if it's round.
Do you
You
believe
know,
that what I stated earlier, the Earth was
Mhm.
largely one mass? I mean, there was water and blah blah blah, but
mm,
there's facts. If you talk about facts, right? That this plant grew on that continent, and at one point, if you put them together, they actually did mesh, and over time, with the shifting of the ocean and things separated and so forth. So you can have an animal like a bear, and you have a black bear, a brown bear, right? They're still bears, but they grew up in different
Mhm.
areas and they evolved differently.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, listen, I can believe in
And it's a shit ton of
evolution.
animals too. Sorry for cursing, but it's a lot of damn animals.
And then it wasn't on
It is
no boat.
now.
Yo, yo, I'll put something to you, right? Real. All right. Now we just saw 3 or 5 people die on a cruise, right? From rat
Mm,
poison.
right.
What you think happened on Noah's
From
Ark?
rat feces, not
Yo,
rat
hey Frankie,
poison,
what you
rat
think happened on
feces.
Noah's Ark?
So you think
Yeah,
they had a
it's not.
plague on the ark?
No, what I'm saying
Well, natural selection would have
no,
wiped out half of the animals as soon as the lions got hungry.
but let alone, let
Right?
alone, let alone feces, disease. That's what I'm saying.
Parasites. Did
Bugs.
he had a vet on the boat?
What I'm saying is, right, these people did not last 7 days on a current cruise ship
Yeah, yeah.
with no animals,
And helicopters
right?
and
So
doctors.
let me just
Dying of the
I,
plague, but Noah lasted
so
40 days
listen.
and 40 nights on
Yes,
a boat, on a
yes.
wooden boat full of two of
Different
every animal.
different climate,
And,
different
and
adaptation, different. It was a whole different thing, just like y'all said. It was different. So
yeah,
they were able to survive.
And
yeah, there was
But I
no
want
because
to
air
make
con-
this point
yeah,
right here.
there
I
was
want to
no
make
air condition.
no, and there still isn't. You still got a whole uncontacted civilization with no air condition,
I
and they're
mean he kind of
surviving.
had
They've been
the
surviving for centuries. They've been surviving. I just want to make
yeah
this point. In Genesis 1, in the first text of the Bible, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth." Now the earth
uh
was formless and empty.
yeah
It says the earth was formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters.
yeah
The
I
earth was
uh,
formless and empty.
Who
yeah
wrote that?
Genesis? The
Yeah,
Bible?
who was there that
yeah
wrote that?
it was I looked it up. I forgot what it said, but it was a compilation of people.
Uh,
It was a
Right.
compilation of people.
And this is my point, right? We took that.
so were the dinosaurs in the dark? Where were they at? It was just dark. They was
No,
in the
no.
dark.
What I'm saying is that we're taking a story. The way
Good
you
question.
wrote it was like somebody was there.
Hmm.
And I said, if you're telling me about we can't believe this and this and this, who wrote it? Who was there?
I think it was Moses, and somebody told Moses the story of Genesis.
Mm.
But whoever wrote it wasn't the person that said that they witnessed it. It was told to somebody, and then that person that's how it got into the Bible. I remember that much.
And
So
we all
it does
know, and we
say,
all we all know a story how it can be told from one person to the other and how it
Mm.
winds up.
Well, I think that and this can help us go segue into our next topic. I do think that that was witnessed and was told to somebody because it wasn't the actual earth that was created, more so the Garden of Eden. Um, and I think that my theory, has some weight to it once you get, not you, Siri, I said theory. has some weight to it once you get into the later chapters of Genesis, once they start talking about what was going on during those 7 days of creation.
Mhm.
Um,
It was
when
witnessed by.
So Moses was
somebody standing outside the Garden of
wrote
Eden.
the first 5 chapters of the Bible came from Moses.
Okay, that's what I
Um,
thought. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
um,
Genesis
but
was
it does says
relayed to him.
multiple sources over the centuries, had it prior. That's what scientists believe. They don't think that Moses, was the only one that wrote the first 5 chapters of the Bible. They think more
And I
people
do,
were
and I
involved.
want to be clear on this. Scientists do not talk about religion. So we're not talking about scientists. They
I'm
talk
sorry,
about,
well,
yeah,
I
they
mean,
talk
you
about
have
Moses.
scientists that do.
They talk about
Um,
Moses. I mean, not
Yeah,
really. Not
they
in
try
the
to
concept that we're
intertwine the
talking
two.
about.
mhm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Not in the concept.
You're absolutely right. But they do try to intertwine the two when
Mhm.
speaking on the
Right.
origins of human beings and so forth. Especially when they start talking about that genetic manipulation that I was talking about earlier. Um, I do think that was witnessed, Mom. Like there was, a new player in the game. I don't want to, call God that of the Bible. But I do think there were multiple gods. I think this particular God came in and was, just big on the block. He was like, all right, I'm
Right.
running this now. And that's the story that's being told of that God.
Mm.
Um, I think
Interesting.
evidence shows once it says, hey, make this in our image.
Right.
Um, there was just too many, not loopholes, but too many, how can I say, um, red flags or triggers that was just like,
Mm.
hey, this doesn't seem like it was just this people. Like I do think Adam and Eve was created. I do think that was all of that
Mm.
Genesis and let's just stick on Genesis. But I think Genesis happened within the Garden of Eden, and once Cain was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, he went in
Mm.
to join the rest of civilization that was there
Mm.
before this
Mm.
new God came into the picture.
And that was a whole line of generational curses, but yeah, I mean, we
More,
could go into
more
it. And Cain,
so like, hey, y'all are lineage of the new God that came and pretty much oppressed us,
mm,
so we hate you.
wow.
I do think. I mean, it's just a theory. It's something I play with. It's not something that I lean on. I wouldn't die on
Mm,
that hill, but just based on what I've heard and what I've studied, I do think that at the very least, um, God created the Garden of Eden as a hierarchy to whatever else was out there.
mm. I mean, and according to Genesis, God created vegetation. He created the plant seeds. He created all the animals.
Hmm.
Adam named
Hmm.
everybody. And, it was,
Hmm.
according to Genesis, that's how
Yeah,
the earth started.
yeah. If I
You
was
know,
telling my
I mean,
story,
it's
that's how I would tell it.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting what you say. You think it was multiple gods, and he was just a big man on the block. That's
Yeah.
interesting. But as the biblical stories go on, it talks
Mm.
about the multiple gods, and people were worshiping gold statues and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and it talks about the people that worship the stars and people that created the astronomy and all that stuff, you know
Hmm.
but with that, when what comes is, because of all of that was going on, he wasn't happy with those people.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
as the story goes on with Moses, Moses created, it was hundreds of commandments, but they only take out 10. But
Yeah.
um he created the covenant in that time, and the sacrifices and pretty much the tithes and all that stuff, in that time. And
Yeah.
God wasn't happy with the people on that he created on earth. all of the descendants from Cain, and you know,
Right.
God didn't like this.
All right.
Yeah.
So he told him, you know, he's going to build this ark. He's going to wipe the world clean. Let's not forget the angels that were sent to earth, you know, from heaven and made it with the women, and they created, you know, the giants. Let's not forget this,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, y'all. All right.
I think that, you know, I think all of that was true. Y'all know
This
my
is this
opinion. I
is.
think that all of
I
that
don't
was
think that,
true.
I don't think there were multiple gods. What I think is this: there's one God.
Mhm.
All right. I think as humans, and God gave us this, we have power.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. And actually, if you look at different things, they actually tell you this, right? Gods get power by worship,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? The Greek gods, right? Used to get power, Frankie, right? The more people
Yeah.
believe it,
Yeah.
right?
Are you talking about,
Hold it.
you're not talking about the Bible anymore, right?
It's a general concept.
When you say there is more than one God, right?
Yeah.
There has to be other
No,
gods, right?
Right.
I think
So,
it's different. Okay.
yeah, if you're talking about more than one God, there
You're
has to be
talking about Greek mythology, correct?
they
Just a
were
They
general
were
concept of
worshiping.
needing prayer in order to become a god, or and that's what fuels gods. Just that concept he's
Oh,
talking right now. He didn't make
okay,
his point yet.
all
okay.
right. So the thing is that if we believe in more than one God, right, as we speak, the other
Mhm.
gods get power. God got mad because we were given power to things that don't exist,
Right, right.
Okay.
right? We
Mhm.
give the gods the power, but we don't give the true God the power. He gives us the power,
Mhm.
Hmm.
right?
Mhm.
So that's what I think with the faith of different religions, because people, like I said, anytime that there's struggle, there's need, people believe in stuff. I believe in the stars. I believe in the thunder god. There's an earth god. There's a water god,
Right,
right?
Yeah.
There's a fat woman god. There's a skinny god, a god of
right.
obesity, a god of hunger. I mean, it's a god of everything.
Mhm.
Everything, there's a
Yeah.
concept, there's a God.
Yeah.
But if you put power into it, that's where our one true God became. And there's only one true God, and that's Yahweh. And
Mhm.
that's when he ceased that the false belief or thought of people. I don't think that there were actually other gods.
Mhm.
I think there
No,
were
Have you heard? Have you heard of the one cardinal unforgivable sin, which is basically just believing in another god, or not having faith in the one true God?
right,
Have y'all heard that that's the one unforgivable sin?
right.
Everything else can be wiped off the table.
Yeah.
well, I mean, the
That
whole thing is you can't get into heaven if you don't believe in God. So I guess that
exactly.
would right.
That's
I
your
mean
salvation. Yes,
yeah. I
exactly.
mean that's the
Right,
whole point of the thought,
Got
right.
right?
it. Got
But
it.
the thing is that that's where people get all these thoughts from. I mean, there were different
Mm.
gods back then, but Greek gods. What other gods were there?
The the
I mean,
the
You
they
had
were
well, I
Roman
guess
worshiping
the
all
gods,
the
kinds
the
of stuff.
Norse and the
right? You had
Greek
Thor
gods
and all
are,
that, and that was during the
you
time
know,
of Jesus Christ.
Mm,
yeah, yeah. They weren't always mythology. Like they were actually not, they weren't called a religion. I forgot what they were actually called, but it was akin to religion.
But it
It
was
wasn't
during the
just, you
time of
know,
Jesus Christ, and that's where
yeah.
Christianity are the one true. So yes, there was
Mhm.
Greek mythology during that time.
mm, mm,
Now, when I say there were other gods, I use the term God loosely because to say that the gods were aliens just kind of rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But that is what I believe that.
listen,
Um,
I believe,
mhm,
to touch on that, I mean, just to say this, there was something that came and taught civilization certain things. You know, they said the Nephilim, they came down and they taught, you know,
mhm,
everyone, they taught the women how to put on makeup. They taught, you know, so many different things, um, to these angels. I'm sorry, they created the Nephilim. they, came down and taught. Were they angels? Were they a higher being?
Wait,
Whatever.
are
If
you
they
saying
taught how,
the Nephilim were here as the pre-existing humans before us?
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no. I'm saying they were a mixture of angels and humans. And
yeah,
they
Were
were
yeah, I know
those
the
made,
Nephilim.
angels actually
yeah.
angels or were they aliens? I think that's what she's saying.
And
I
can I
yeah,
say, yeah, you know, I,
okay.
I could that I can that's interesting to me. I can
But
say that could have happened. That could have been the higher being that taught,
uh-huh,
the math, the construction, how to build the pyramids, how to
yeah,
do certain things, how to build. They even taught them how to, build weapons, instruments,
yeah,
all kinds of stuff.
yeah.
You know, um, do we say they were angels or were they aliens? We don't know. We don't know
I don't
what
know.
the
It's
alien
kind of
is.
if you're going to look at it, I try to look at things real simple, right? And see if it makes sense to me. And it just helps me out. If something has no concept of physical,
Mm.
how can it teach me to be physical?
Mm.
Whereas if something has a concept of physiology,
These were higher beings. They were
travel,
higher beings.
no,
They
no, no,
already
no.
knew all of that stuff. They taught us this.
What I was saying was this, all right?
Mm.
Angels have no concept of physical. They're
Mm.
spiritual. So how can they teach me
You
to be
don't believe that angels didn't come and teach, that they didn't never have any kind of, physical know how to create weapons or had no, they were just
Mm.
these angels that just walked around and was
Have
in
we
peace
ever?
and harmony?
Do we
what I
have descriptions
No.
of the angels? We
what
we only have descriptions of the cherubim, right? The cherubim and the falling. We don't
Mhm.
have actual
Those
descriptions of
fallen,
like the
those,
archangels or Lucifer, do we?
you said a description?
Yeah,
yeah,
like a physical description. We do have those.
We don't have any physical description of what they look like.
we got a
The
physical
cherubim,
description of
yes.
a dinosaur.
No, just like we have physical, just
We
like
got
all the paintings,
bones.
just like all the paintings they have in the churches
Uh-huh.
with these angels with wings and
No,
you
my
know,
my no, my
Yeah.
thing is this, right? Angels, my concept is it's spiritual. It's
Mm,
not physical.
mm,
All right. So there were a
that
couple
makes
things that
sense.
you said, Shelley, right? A spiritual being came down and taught us makeup, how to build, blah, 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 blah. What's the need for that? Something that is a physical world would need something of that sort, which would be another being,
Which is what I think came down.
right? Something of spirit, there's no need to teach me how to start a fire. Something of physical being, there may be a need to teach me how to do a fire. There may be a need to know mathematics, right, in order to build certain things, in order to scope
mm,
the stars or to build a pyramid. But something of
Mm.
spiritual, what do they need to teach me to do anything?
mm. Okay, so
Well,
the angels,
something that I think came down.
they
Wait,
were
I'm
called
gonna
the
let you finish,
Watchers.
Mom. Some
Did you hear this
wait,
story? The
yeah, yeah,
Watchers.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They were called the Watchers. Um,
Yeah,
they
X-Men.
descended to Earth and taught
Shut
humans,
up.
yes, you're such a jerk. They taught humans various skills. Like I said, metalworking and weapon making, cosmetics, jewelry, astrology,
But where'd you get that
um,
term from? The
earth.
Watchers.
The Watchers,
It's not a term in
that
the
was
Bible, is
from
it?
that was from the book of Enoch. When you
Okay,
read the book of Enoch, yes, they talk about the
okay,
Watchers. Yes.
yeah.
Do you
Um,
So
know that
I
X-Men got that from that?
say that again. Say
did
it
they?
again.
Think about what did the
It,
Watchers
it it makes sense. It
what did
makes
the
sense. A
Watchers
lot of
do?
things. Yeah,
That's why I started laughing.
They
yeah.
taught they taught humans the various skills. Now we're talking about,
Mm.
were the Watchers aliens or were they angels? That's what we're talking about right now,
Who's
correct?
we?
well, me and Frankie was kind of touching on this.
Okay.
Well,
Um,
that's the thing. You know, you have so many hieroglyphs and sculptures and carvings and caves, and you even got love letters to these Anunnaki, which is not that's just Anunnaki is a term for an alien. You know, there's actually
mhm,
different species of alien. Anunnaki is akin to saying human being. You know, there's different types of human beings. You know, you got Asians, you got this, you got that, you that. Same thing with Anunnaki. Um, that said, they their story and what they did to us aligns with what we do to one another. We're inherently conquerors, right? Same thing with our God. Um, I don't want to disrespect our God, but he's a little tyrannical in nature. Um, Deuteronomy kind of showcases that.
Old Testament.
Yeah. Um,
That's not the message anymore. Our God is
you know,
forgiving. Our God is
but
graceful. Gave us grace.
if you put um, the old God in the Old Testament with the what was his name? Baru, one of the gods in the Anunnaki story, and you run them parallel to one another, it's damn near the same thing. You know, this God didn't look, don't be going to go praise my other brothers and sisters, not other gods, my other kinfolk. Don't go praise them. You know, this is what's going to happen. You will say this name every time you're done praying, which is Amen. Um, there was just a lot of too many similarities that was found in those Dead Sea Scrolls and some
mhm,
of the other scrolls that were found. That's just like, okay, the Romans put this book together to manipulate people, clearly.
right. Mhm, mhm,
Um, Whereas if you lay everything out and you just read these stories, yes, some of them were transcribed from one another. You could tell how it almost looks like this was what's the word, forged. It's like
right,
it's word for word the same thing
right.
in some of these transcriptions. You can
Mhm,
tell whichever one came first, that's the actual
mhm.
truth.
But
Everything
you
else is
know,
just a game of telephone.
but Frankie, they I'm not going to say that was their main objective of some of the stuff the Romans did to the Bible, because some of
Yeah.
the stuff, and when I look at the Romans, I think about Republicans, because some of the stuff
Yeah.
they didn't think that we could handle or read,
Uh,
like this was going to go over their heads.
uh,
They made that decision to say, hey, we're not going to put these certain chapters in the Bible because they ain't gonna understand it. You know what I
uh,
mean?
You know what I think the misconception is, and this is the Bible, right? Or written parchment was only for the rich. The poor didn't read.
really? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially when it came out.
Mm,
Yeah, the poor didn't read. It was just for the rich,
mm. I
right?
never
So
heard
Slavery.
that.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, it makes sense once you look back at when it came out, the Bible. What time was it?
I
Slavery.
mean,
It's
just
But
look
it
before
at
wasn't
slavery.
a
in general.
Bible. When
Poor
it came
were
out,
not
it wasn't a
educated.
Bible. Moses
Poor,
was
the poor couldn't
Moses
even.
was not a rich man. What are you talking about?
Who was not a
I
rich
don't
man?
know where you got that from. I totally disagree. First of
What?
all, back then it wasn't a Bible. They were scrolls. These were teachings that they were writing
Mm,
down. There wasn't no
People
book.
of
We
minor
didn't
means
have
did
no
not have
mm.
chapters. There was
parchment.
no
They
Bible.
did not have
But
scrolls.
but hear me out because I think there's a middle ground here. There were still slaves that were deprived of
Correct.
reading material back then,
Correct.
Mom.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
so that can give weight to what Michael is saying for
Hmm.
sure.
First of all, Jesus
But
was not poor. Who said he was poor?
I never
Uh,
said Jesus was poor.
Who you said was poor?
I
yeah,
said Moses.
he wasn't
Moses
middle
wasn't a
class.
rich man,
Was
but
Moses a
he was
general? No,
writing.
Moses
He
wasn't a
wasn't.
general.
He didn't have a Bible. He wrote the first five chapters. There was no Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, you
There,
said Moses was not an educated man.
I never said he wasn't an educated man. Where did you
she
hear
saying
that?
she said he wasn't rich, but Mom, once that those
Education meant
chapters,
you were rich. If you had an education, you had to have money. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
I think you're so
What
far off.
what was Moses and that Egyptian empire? He was something there. He was something of importance. He wasn't just a
Moses
regular
was
noble man.
the brother of the
So
Pharaoh. What the fuck are we
All
talking about?
right, yeah. He was, mom. He was.
Moses, first of all, Moses,
That's what I remember.
let's get this story fact before we start hollering out certain
Moses
things that we've
was
heard.
the disgraced brother, the fake brother of the Pharaoh. He had
Yeah.
money. He
He
was
was,
educated.
first of all, he was an adopted son.
He,
First of all, remember, Moses was not the true blood of the pharaohs.
That's what I
yeah.
just said.
He
Oh,
didn't leave
I
with
thought
much,
you said
Mike.
something else.
He ain't leave with much, Mike. I can tell you that.
He was not a
But
wealthy
sure,
man.
he knew how to read.
Yeah, he
And
knew
the
how to
reason he
read.
Yeah,
knew how
because
to
of where he
read
was
was
placed.
because he was the brother of the Pharaoh.
Yeah, but even after Moses wrote those 5 chapters, once those 5 chapters became prominent, there were still people being oppressed from reading.
But when Moses was a young man, he
Hmm.
was, yes, he was raised, he had access to wealth, okay? It was Pharaoh's sisters, the one that found him, she adopted him, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Uh,
So he had access to wealth.
Right before that, he could read.
As a child, he he left all of that. He gave all of that up.
yeah,
He was
Mother
not a
Teresa of the
wealthy man.
situation.
He left as an adult. He was not a wealthy man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he was fighting for a cause by that time,
Right,
you
right,
know. But the education stance still stands. He was definitely educated enough to teach people,
right,
you
right,
know.
Because he
He was
was
definitely a leader enough to get people to follow them outside of the goddamn kingdom. They're
right,
like, "What, Moses? You out of your mind? Go into the
right,
desert? You out of your mind?"
right, right, right. Remember, he was in the wilderness for 40 years. In
Tripping.
the wilderness.
what I said was, okay, a poor person did not learn how to read and did not
Yeah,
have parchments and did
Mm.
not know how to write.
yeah.
But listen, they all still gathered. They all still gathered and they listened.
Mm,
They
mm,
all gathered and listened to whoever that leader was, Moses, Jesus. They
yeah.
listened to those prophets. They listened to them. Whether they could not read,
Yeah.
they still heard the stories.
No, but
There were just
who was writing these stories and who was being controlled by them,
yeah.
right? The rich were writing them. The rich were reading them, and the
Moses,
rich was
again,
disseminating them to the poor,
again, it
which
does
was
not say
controlling them,
anything that
which
Pharaoh
was
wrote any chapter in the Bible. It does not say anything like that. Nobody,
Well,
no
because
pharaohs wrote any chapters. Moses wrote again the first
mm,
5 chapters. Again, Moses,
yeah,
he did not.
that's a good way to start a book that you know you're writing a lot of stuff that you want in it. Let's put this very reputable figure at the first couple chapters. And that's just me, do I dare say, playing devil's advocate.
Mm,
But you don't necessarily stop the buck there as far as um, the validity of what comes next.
Hey, let me ask you a question. What came first, the Bible or the commandments?
The
the
commandments.
commandments, yeah.
Okay. And the
There was
commandments,
no Bible then. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah.
There was no Bible.
okay.
The,
All right. So first of all, y'all were saying Bible in the beginning, but now there's no Bible. Or there's
No,
parchments. There's parchments.
yeah,
yes,
that's the word that we should have been using.
right,
You
All right.
know, it's not that
All
there
right. So
was
now
no
there's a
Bible.
Bible, but there's all
right,
right,
This is
right,
whatever.
the
right.
All right.
ingredients.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So what came first?
The
The
Mm,
commandments.
commandments or the parchments?
the
It's
commandments.
the commandments.
And who gave the people?
Actually, that's a good question, Unc. That's a good
Yeah.
question. We have no idea when these parchments were created or written. You know, we can assume that they were thousands of years old. If that is the case, they came before the commandments. Um,
I don't know.
if the commandments happened beforehand, then we can't very well. I think the parchments came beforehand. We just found them after the commandments.
This is my point. What I said is that religion is taught to control,
Uh, yeah.
right? right? And there was a big
Uh,
no, 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 no. And then
that's my stance. I don't think
and
that's my
no,
mom's
that is
stance.
my stance, period,
That's
right?
your
Period.
stance.
All
Okay.
right, it's control, right? My question was, what came first? The parchments or the commandments? Right?
The
I'm being told
commandments.
the
The commandments
Commandments
came
came.
first.
The
Okay. If
commandments
the
came before
commandments
the
came
Bible
first,
was even compiled as a book. The
okay,
commandments were there. They were
okay,
written on, remember the stone tablets.
okay, all right.
But
Moses came
weren't the
down out of the
parchments still
mountain.
being taught? The parchments
They
weren't still
were,
being taught at that point? What was Moses' brother, the king, teaching? What were their teachings in there? There had to be some cultural
But I
boundary that was
guess
set.
the point is, if the commandments came first, right? What are the commandments?
Thou shalt not kill. Thou
A
shalt
set
love
of
thy
rules,
neighbor. Yeah,
control.
they were God's rules. They weren't man rules. They were
which
God's
makes
rules.
them righteous. It's just tricky when you try to put,
No, 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 no.
man's
Yeah,
rules
you
They
on
weren't
God.
you
man
said it
rules.
exactly. When you try to put, what I
Yeah,
said was, religion is control,
yeah, yeah,
and I said, what came first?
The
yeah,
The
yeah,
commandments. What's the
yeah.
commandments? A set of rules. Are rules
Okay.
control? Yes. That's all you got to say.
But that's a human logic.
Right.
That's a human logic.
And I'm
You can't
sorry.
put human logic on
Who
God.
else are we talking to here?
That's why it's such a hard conversation.
No, no,
That's
no,
what I've
no,
been
no,
saying
no.
this whole
It's
time.
human logic. Who else is here?
But the logic came from God.
Right.
So the Ten
It's a
Commandments
higher
is God's
being that
logic.
that logic still came from.
So yeah, we accept it as
Those
rules,
commandments were given to Moses by God.
but that's the thing. Like it's not called the 10 rules. It's called the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. But
A
we only
commandment
focus
is
on
control,
again,
but
I don't know.
I mean, you
Man
said
made
that.
that, man
I
said those 10 commandments. It was hundreds of commandments. There wasn't just
yeah.
10 commandments.
Okay, and
So,
okay, if there
I mean,
was
it was
one,
hundreds
or
of commandments.
if there was one, or if there was 2,000, it's
Right.
Mhm.
commandments which are a control.
All right.
By
Yeah.
God.
I know
By
what I said
God.
just
Not by
sounded like,
man.
I know it sounds
No,
like word
I'm
salad
sorry.
or
If it's battery operated or if it's solar operated, it's still operating.
We're talking about something so what you just said is here. God's commandments is up here. That's so minute. That's so redundant. We're not talking about that. What
First
we're
of all,
saying is
first of all,
you asked me the question, who did the commandments come
I'm
first?
trying to be polite,
They did come first.
I'm
They
trying to
came
be
first,
polite
but
here.
it wasn't a
First of
book.
all,
The Bible
redundant
didn't
has
exist.
nothing to do with it. That's one.
What you're talking is so redundant.
Yeah.
You're talking about something so minimal right here.
You
We're
know what?
talking about God's commandments. We're talking about they were given to Moses by God. They weren't, it was a higher being. We're not talking about something man made. No, God gave those commandments to Moses. Moses sat there. How long was he up in that mountain talking to God? How long did he get those commandments? We're not talking about they came from another man. No, they came from God. You cannot put that on the same level of something that's so minute. You can't put it on the same level because no, everything that
What
you
if
said that was from man-made.
Do you understand what the word control means?
Yes,
I was gonna say, what if you called it a guide? Because when you say control, it
yeah,
seems like that it came from a man. Like I'm giving
yes.
you these rules to go control these
No.
employees.
Again, that's man-made
Who
thought.
gave
It
who
came
gave
from a man. I mean, listen,
who wrote the
listen. Let me
commandments?
ask
Where
you a
did they
question. Let
come
me ask you a
from?
question.
Where did they
Yeah,
come
yeah,
If the
from?
sun comes out during the day and it's hot as shit, it could.
Here you
It
go
yeah.
with your analogies again.
but
We're
but
not
in
talking
order
about
for you to
something so minute
understand,
and so minimal.
in order for
We're
you to
talking about a
understand
higher
certain things, I
being.
have to put it in an analogy. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
All right. In order for people to understand certain things, you have to put in an analogy. You can't just tell a person a thing and say, believe it. You have to explain it to them in a way that possibly they may hit the concept.
Mm.
I want to go back to your original point. What was the original point you were making when you said that these were rules? Because we went on a tangent about rules
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
But
it's really just
he's missing such a big part.
What
That
am I
was
Yeah.
missing?
man-made. We're talking
Mm.
about God gave these commandments to Moses. Moses was up in the mountain. He sat there and etched them out in stone. You know what I mean? He wrote them
Are they?
all out.
I'm
Everything
sorry.
that God gave
Are
him,
they
he sat
rules?
there and wrote them out.
Are they
They,
rules?
yeah, but they came from God, not from man.
They're
That's what
they're
the point
they're
I'm trying to make. When
they're
you
a
talk
guide
about
to a righteous
control,
life.
God does control my life. That's me. He does control
Hmm.
my life. If you want to use the word control, yes,
Mm.
I live by what he wrote, what he said that he wanted, those sins. I'm not perfect, no. But yes, God has control over my life.
See,
It's
and
it's more
that's
it's more of a
probably
guide.
no. See, and that's I think that's where I didn't say control was bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you
I
made
never.
it seem like
No,
it
no.
was from
Hold it.
man.
You want to let me talk, right? I
Mhm.
never during that whole conversation did I say control was bad. I
Okay.
said these are
Yeah.
rules that can control you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 100% correct.
Okay.
Man-made or God-made or turtle-made, there are rules that are made to control or have some control over your life in order
Mhm.
to make you God live farther, whatever the case may be. But these are
Mhm.
rules, are they not?
Mhm. Yes, they
Very
are. They
yeah.
are rules.
Okay, so I don't understand where the issue is, to be honest, because
Because you
there
made
are
it
good
seem like you
rules
were
and there
talking.
are bad rules. If
It came from the tonality of how you say it or what you're saying rather is more so a concept of an exchange between man and man.
whose concept? Yours.
It's all of our concepts because we only
How is it?
understand how to exchange between each other. We don't know how to understand an exchange between us and God.
Right, right.
First of all, if we don't,
And I
then
didn't.
hold it.
Mhm.
Then what are we talking about giving, receiving God's grace if we don't understand it?
I
First of all,
personally don't
no
know about
one
that.
understands it. You're not going to know the story until you get there. So no, nobody understands it.
Understands what,
We're
Shelley?
just taught. We're taught the teachings.
Understand what, Shelley?
What do you mean
Nobody
understand
understands
what?
what?
I don't understand you.
No, nobody understands. No.
I
You
don't
said
understand
nobody's going to
you.
understand it till nobody
Mm.
understands what?
Nobody understands the story. Nobody understands that we don't have full knowledge of the story because we're not going to get that until we get. All we have is our faith. We have our faith. That's the biggest thing. That's only God wants to know that you have faith. You you that's what you
What does that
believe.
have to do with the commandments being rules that are control?
Mm.
What?
What does that have to do with anything that I just said?
Do you believe in the commandments?
Do I believe in
Mm.
which ones? The 10 or the 100 that you spoke of?
Whatever ones you want to think of, do you
Yeah,
believe
I
in
believe in
them?
some of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe
Yeah.
they were given to Moses by God?
Yeah. Sure.
Mm,
Where the heck did they come from?
I don't.
Where did they come from?
I
You
don't.
think they were man-made?
I think some of them were.
Mm.
They're too righteous.
I think
Yeah.
some
Because
of them.
think,
First of all, I don't think God would say honor your mother and father.
Huh?
I don't think man would say that.
I don't think God would say thou shalt not steal.
See, these are things I don't think man would say if they had
Right.
so much power.
Right.
Think about the
No,
power
no, no,
that
no, no.
man
Think about
has.
this. The God concept is that Adam and Eve, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right? And
Mhm.
then Cain killed his brother, blood,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
all this, sin. And then
Enoch
all of a
and all
sudden
that.
God says, thou shalt not steal. I think man says, thou shalt not steal.
No.
Well,
Because
man showed you that his malicious intent before these 10 commandments came out.
right,
Mhm.
right. And
Mhm.
why
Right.
would not, in order to make man, right,
Hmm.
or Moses or whatnot, which was quote unquote, why wouldn't that be one of the things that
So
man would
is it
say
safe
to
to say
to,
that God
to
observed
control
everything that was
society
going on?
to have some type of law, thou shalt not steal?
So you're saying
So
the arc of redemption for humanity started with the Ten Commandments, as man wrote that, and this is just a whole redemption arc for man?
Yeah, why not?
hmm,
Because it's man has not showed you that throughout history, even up until that point. Man has only showed you when he has power, he will abuse it. Hence, hitting Abel over the head with that goddamn rock.
right, right, right.
Like we we
First
we
of all,
need we
But
need God
that
let's
for
wasn't
just say this:
power.
salvation.
the Catholic Church is one of the most vicious societies programs in the world.
Tell me about it.
And,
I had a
and
friend
what
go to
do they
Catholic school.
follow?
I mean, this goes back
And what do they follow?
centuries about this Catholic Church. Goes
Well,
back
listen, the
centuries.
Crusades. So, and they followed the Catholic. Thou
Don't
shalt
even get started on them damn crusades.
Yo,
Listen,
one of the most vicious times in the history.
yes, I
It's
agree.
worse than
All right.
I
Vikings.
agree.
So my point is this, right? As into, and these are supposedly the words of God that man has followed in order to, quote unquote, right? And man
Mhm.
has used the word of God to kill, to subdue, to overrule. And the only thing that we are doing is looking at a past that was written to us. But we're not strong enough to read different paths to see if there's any
Mhm.
continuity or disagreements with them.
But there is continuity there. Like it's not ambiguous at all. You can look in the past and see some of the same things we're doing today. And the only way we look in the past is through record.
In
And if
different
and if we
religions, there
see
are
that,
different commandments, right, by different people and
yeah,
or different,
yeah.
right? And they all have thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder,
Mm,
thou. How is that?
It's the
If you're looking
the
at different religions created by
mhm,
different people with different faiths, but they have
mhm.
the same message control. Like I
But
said,
it's I think that's where salvation may come in at, as far as man-made salvation, which is the Bible. Um, as much control is there, Unc. Can you imagine this world without it?
that's my whole point.
So it
you know,
I agree when you say that you didn't say that the control part is bad, but my rebuttal to that is that I agree with you, but it can be.
Well,
mm,
everything has a flip side. Everything. Life.
mm,
Agreed.
The
Agreed.
flip side of life, death. Right? Everything has a flip side.
Yeah.
All
right.
right.
Yeah.
So that argument I can gauge that argument to anything that anybody says. All right.
Mm,
My whole point was these rules. Now, listen, I believe in God. I believe He's the Almighty, but there's certain stories, I'm sorry, just because you say it, don't make it true.
Yeah. I'm
All right.
I'm I'm exactly like that.
And if I look at different religions and they have the same rules, but different people face different
Mhm.
areas, I have to look at that and say, that's a rule, that's a control thing.
mm,
Different societies say if you commit murder, you're going to jail. That's a
So where
rule. That's a
so
universal rule.
but when you say that man, or your theory is that man wrote those 10 commandments or 100 commandments, wherever whatever number it is, um it doesn't you I would challenge you to give me another example where man did such a good righteous thing for humanity, like
No, no, no,
on
no, no,
the
no,
level
no.
of writing
It's,
the 10
this
commandments.
is where the mistake is. Control is not for everyone. It's for the poor. It's for the meek. It's for the masses. If I'm no
Hmm.
top 1%, I make the rules to control, but I can do any fucking thing I want. And I do it.
Mm,
And there's nothing you can say about it.
you wouldn't give
Perfect
your
example. This is more of a man-made example. The US talks about war constantly,
yeah,
how we're the righteous, but we're the
yeah,
only person that let go a nuclear bomb.
yeah, yeah.
The only one. but we're democracy. I can make the rules, but I don't have to live by it. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what the
I
control is.
understand what you're saying. There's the
That's why.
correlation is different though, because the
That's
control
why.
for let's say the control from the Ten Commandments is control. It is
Mhm.
control in and out on its face, under its skin. It's control.
All right.
It's still good control. There's
Right.
not another example of that anywhere. So when you compare it to, let's say, our law system, as you just did,
Mhm.
that control is a little different. That
Why?
control isn't right. It's not righteous. The
Why is
law
it
isn't
not
about
righteous?
what's right or it's not about what's right or wrong.
Most of
It's
the
about
laws,
it's about the
most
law.
most of the laws follow the commandments. Thou shalt not steal. Thou
Yeah.
shalt. Yeah, you can go to jail for adultery. What are you talking about?
I mean, we don't know the consequences of breaking the commandments. We know the consequences and how you can get out of those
No, we
consequences if
know
you're
the
the right person
consequences.
for
We know
breaking
the
the law.
consequences. We know the consequences of breaking the commandment.
Oh,
Not following God, not going to heaven.
we don't know what, how can I say, I don't want to say it like this. I don't have another word. We don't know what clauses
What?
that we don't know what clauses or loopholes that could have allowed us to still get in heaven if we didn't follow all 10 of those commandments.
No. The commandments were a supposedly guide to live.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
only thing that you need to do to get into heaven is believe in God and Jesus Christ as your Savior. That's
Yes.
it.
Yes.
But if
The
you
commandments were a guide or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. That's why I keep saying it's a way, however you want to look at it, man, God, whatever, controlling. But most of the commandments, if you look at them, relate
Mhm.
to the laws that we live by criminally.
Mhm.
But I have to believe that there are still consequences, which aren't always a bad thing. It's
Mhm.
just a reaction
Mhm.
to, let's say you do steal. Let's say you do these things. Nothing that was
But
translated as given to us from God
Mhm.
isn't just something that, okay, as long as I can do anything, I can disregard everything, all of his teachings, as long as I believe in him, I'll go to heaven. I don't believe that.
no, first of all, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. Listen,
I take what you said and I throw it in there.
everything that you do, Frankie, has a consequence, my friend.
Yeah,
Right? We live
including not following those, bro.
in a physical world. So if you keep stealing, your ass going to get caught and go to jail. That's the
Yeah.
consequence.
That's the consequence of our law system.
But there were
Which
also
you just said. I know
consequences.
what you just said, but
Mhm.
the Ten Commandments was given to us from a spiritual being. What's the spiritual consequence there?
Right.
You know,
You
Right.
don't
if you take away the Ten Commandments, our
well,
law
first
system
of
is
all,
still
you
there.
being low, you not having your spirit fulfilled, not being joyful, not having peace of heart, not sleeping
That's
well.
what I'm talking about. That's what
Okay,
I'm
I mean
getting at.
all those things. I mean, I don't know, bad conscience. I don't know. I don't know what the spiritual. That's your burden on your issue. Like my spiritual burden will be my spiritual burden. Your spiritual burden will be yours. Shelley's will be
Isn't that
hers.
more important than these physical laws that I break and the
It
consequences that come
depends.
from those?
But the thing is, if they're both coinciding, what are you talking about? Thou shalt not kill. Don't you go to jail for murder? If you
There
thou
has to
shalt
be a
not
separate.
kill.
There has to be a separation, Unc. There has to be a separation because one is too righteous, whereas our law system and the systemic things that come from that, which may have came later on, but they
But
still exist
what do you mean
nonetheless.
about separation? I don't
Listen,
understand.
back then in that time, and we're talking about Moses, Jesus,
I'm talking
we're
about the
talking about that time.
consequences, Unc.
The
Yeah, I'm saying, what does that?
consequences then, you know,
Hmm.
they were more focused on restoring the victim. If you stole something, you had to repay whatever that's you stole, you had to repay 5 times or
Oh,
something like that.
You know what, Frankie? It just hit me. And Shelley, what you just said made me think.
Mhm.
Back in the Old Testament, the consequences was the wrath of God. During the New Testament, after Jesus' death,
Mm,
He gave us grace.
right. Mm.
Do you understand the difference, Frankie?
Okay.
In the Old
So are
Testament,
the Ten Commandments just null and
he,
void now?
no. It's not that he made it null and void. The thing is that it's to the point where we have to live in our own juices per se. The end is heaven, blah blah blah. Before the wrath of God would come down on you and crush you because the consequences of you not following his law. But
Got it.
after the death of Jesus, him giving his soul for us,
Right.
Yeah.
we were giving grace.
Right. Right.
And that grace allows us to do those stupid things and live that stupid life, but we still live on a physical world that has its own laws. At the end of the day, what our judgment will be is when we get judged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you can argue that through this living world, when we do things that are inconsistent or wrong, you can say that some of that is bad karma, right? And shit happens, right? That's if you want to look at it, that's the physical. But I think you create your own environment per se,
Mm.
right? You can create your own shit, right?
Mm.
And then the law gets you, that's another issue that you have to deal with. But at the end of the day, you will be judged
Mm.
on your being, on your life at the end of your day. So I think that's what it is. And I think the switch was supposedly, from what I'm being taught, was the death of Jesus.
Mm. Sounds like the Ten Commandments was our first chance to get it right.
Yeah.
Say y'all need to change. Come on.
Yes.
And we still ain't
Right. But
changed.
but,
Said,
but
all right,
the
here's
thing
the big
is,
whammy.
right? Yeah, I mean, I think it was all listed as, from a standpoint of control. But most of the laws, the commandments, I think they were set up to control, and which makes it more evident is our
You know
law
what?
is our
I
laws
can
followed.
see. I can see what you're saying. There were 613 commandments
God
in the
damn.
Old Testament.
A lot of
And
rules.
Yeah, I mean, it
and
was
it was,
stupid
yeah,
stuff. Like you
it was
couldn't right, you
governing
couldn't eat. Yeah,
religion.
you couldn't eat
Yes.
bread on a Tuesday. It was stuff
Yeah.
like that.
It was moral. Yes, it was moral and civil life. When Jesus walked the earth in the New
That's why
Testament
I
and
say it
he
was
came with the
control.
New Testament,
uh,
you are correct. It was more emphasis on grace and faith and love and one principles. Um, so the Old Testament, the Old Covenant was more obedience to the law. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of
Control.
control. Yeah, so it was kind of control.
I mean,
there
because
were
some of those
more.
rules were stupid. Like, I mean, seriously, like you had to be sleep between 5 and this, and you couldn't work on this day and that day.
Right,
That's what
right,
some of the commandments were, if you
right.
actually read them. That's why I'm saying they were set up to control. They were laws,
They were
but
laws.
man given it's man, perceiving
Close
if
enough.
I give it from a higher power, you'll do them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or if you were told that you came from a higher power, you'll
You'll
do
do them.
them.
That's why I mean that's because they're just too similar to straight up laws. I mean, you know what I
Well,
mean?
we also want to believe in a higher power. We want to be controlled. You kind of learn that when I was getting my degree in anthropology, that we're a civilization or we're a being that needs, as I said, a hierarchy. We need a top and a bottom. Camille, you touched on this last pod. We need a left and a right. We need an opposition. Um, and sometimes that opposition is just a leader, something that's above us.
Some people need
Um,
to be told what to do instead of figuring out.
most people,
Most people need to be told what to
uh,
do.
and that's why I think it is so hard to come to the truth or get to the truth.
Right,
Um,
right,
because we've been given, a shell shock of information.
right,
Hey,
right,
there's actually beings that are above us. You're like,
right,
what? I thought Superman was fake. So there's certain
No, he's
things
right
that
here.
will that we want to grasp onto.
Right.
I want to believe in aliens. I want to believe that there's something out there other than a human being.
Mm.
So when I do get just a
This
tidbit
can't
of,
be as good as it get, right?
yeah, I see that little tic tac UFO video, and I'm like, oh shit, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for my entire life. Like
Right.
they're actually
Right.
out there,
Right.
and then you hold on to that, and then your information and your way of speaking becomes biased.
Right.
Um, so all that kind of ties into all of your arguments, which is why I try to stay neutral whenever I broach these topics or just go 2 feet into them, because it is curious. It is a lot of to learn.
Yeah.
You just kind of not fully warped, but you guys both just tweaked my perspectives and my theories here and so forth.
But
It's
I mean,
it's
just to go back to, you know, the fossils and the dinosaurs and all of that stuff,
I knew you wasn't over it.
everything that was, mostly it's a lot of evidence on um the things that have been found thousands of years ago, whether it be biblical, all kinds of things that, scholars and historians and everything, archaeologists have found as far as dealing with the biblical cities and the civilizations in that time for thousands of years ago. We're talking about the Catholic Church. You know, the Catholic Church, when they were teaching the scrolls that existed at that time, those were
Yeah.
centuries ago. They were teaching from those scrolls. Jesus was teaching from those scrolls from that time. The
Mhm.
Catholic Church, actually, it was almost peer pressure at what they did to Jesus, because they believed what he was. They was like, well, what has he done?
Yeah.
Because he's out there teaching. Like, what has he done? They were all teaching from those scrolls. So,
Yeah.
it was so political, you know, when, when they took Jesus and put him in jail. That was a
Yeah.
political move. It wasn't about they didn't believe him, or they weren't, these books that were already created. They weren't teaching from them. They didn't have, what,
And I do. And you're totally right, Shelley. And I'm not trying to cut you off, but
Mhm.
I'm really trying to figure out. You're saying going back to the dinosaurs.
Mm. I don't believe that. I think that number is so exaggerated. I'm just going to say this another
Maybe.
time. I don't believe that anything existed 230 million years ago. The earth was black, it was void. There was nothing here until God came and
Yeah.
created it. I think evolution started in that time. But it started, but of course it was centuries and centuries and centuries later that certain
Uh,
things evolved into certain things. But I don't believe in no dinosaurs evolving millions of years later
All
into
right.
little Tweety birds. I
This is
don't
this is
believe that.
this is what I believe. I believe that the world or time is a jigsaw puzzle. And what I mean by that is that you have to have certain things come before certain things in order for things to grow. All right. I think there were dinosaurs here. I
Mm,
think the world was covered over with a crust. I think there was a lot of fertilization because of those animals and
mm,
grass and things of that sort, which
right,
created a boom or spark, which created evolution, which created an amoebal growth or
mm,
something growing out of the earth and turning into a mammal and then walking on fours. I think there was sparks at different parts and so forth. I
mm.
think there was an Adam and Eve, not in the true term that we consider Adam and Eve, with them wearing cloth, looking pretty and white, eating an apple,
Right,
and a
right,
snake
right,
walking up to them. I don't
right,
think
right.
that's the Adam and Eve I'm talking about.
Mm,
Adam and Eve were in a cave, and they had brown teeth and long hair, and they were hunched over,
I
and they
absolutely do not believe that. But go ahead. I absolutely do not believe that. Go
and
ahead.
one name was Shelly. Right?
Totally
I do
disagree with that.
believe that the commandments were set up as a control, as laws. If you actually go through the commandments, there's no way that it couldn't be control or laws because it was just too
It
daggone.
was law, though. Yes. Mhm.
It was just too ridiculous.
Mhm.
Moses was an educated man. I don't think people that were poor could read. I don't think,
And I agree with that. Yeah.
and I think that the
But they were
rich,
taught.
I
They
think
listened to
the
the
rich
teaching.
wrote what they wrote and made what they made and hid what they hid and taught what they taught to the poor or whatever they wanted to give. We as people see things and say that it's absolutely that's the way it has to be. We need to look at different information and disseminate. And I wouldn't say use common sense because that's kind of hard, especially on things that are kind of all over the place. But you have to put some reality and some common sense to it, right? The Big Bang, I don't know. I saw this article once, and he said, you know what? He said, for years, man, I've been trying to figure out some stuff. So I go out there and get some dirt, and I throw some dynamite, and just boom, just I've been blowing up stuff for a couple years. And he said, you know what? I never seen nothing grow out of something that just blew up. And I thought that was hilarious.
Right.
Right? Something that just exploded. How do you expect life to come from it? The whole point is to kill life when you explode. But whatever the case may be. But that being said, I do believe that there were dinosaurs. I do believe that we find fossils. I think in some areas, especially in the ocean, there might be some residual things that we can't explain, life forms.
We can't get down there. We can't even get down there. I think, they
But,
decided, hey, we just not gonna
well,
explore
we're
the
just not
ocean
there.
anymore. We just,
Yeah,
because it's so deep and it's so far down,
and the
they
pressure,
just
but
like,
everything,
man,
I think everything that was above ground, right? Because that atmosphere or that environment has changed drastically, goes through changes. And I think that's a result, and that's why we're here.
Well, the ground is dirt, um, and there's something that pushes the dirt up, So there's and then once the dirt reaches the surface, it hardens. So there's layers of dirt. The Earth wasn't as big as it was or is now. Like that. I'm not saying the Earth is growing. Who
yeah,
knows? Maybe it is. But there
yeah,
are layers of dirt, and once we, travel through those layers of dirt, we see where the ground was, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. You see it in your neighborhoods all the time. The repaving. Yeah, they rip some up and then they put some down.
I mean,
That
we
ground
we
is
found
slowly
buried.
going
Yeah,
up.
I mean, we
That
found
happens
buried.
naturally as well.
Yeah, I mean, we found buried cities before.
Yeah, don't get me started on Atlantis and the
I
eye
mean,
of the Sahara Desert.
yeah. I mean, so you
yeah.
have buried cities.
We've uncovered these cities that date back to, let's
Whenever.
say,
Yeah.
biblical eras. Let's talk about. We've found
Biblical
these cities.
eras.
We've uncovered
Mm.
these things. Do we really know the timeline? Do
We
we
can
really
only. I
know the
mean, listen, man.
timeline?
Everything's not expert, but the age of the dirt and all this stuff we can approximate. Um,
That's a good point though, Unc. Like the whole timeline thing, if we
I think
messed
it's
up a
way
timeline
off.
or two, that messes up the whole story that's
yeah,
Exactly.
being
yeah. I
told.
mean, yeah. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Right.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I mean, everything is subjective until you die, and then everything.
That's the bad part about all of this. Like that's the bad part for
Right,
sure.
everything is
Everything else is fun.
I mean,
Right.
but that's the importance of faith. First of all, I think
Yeah.
because there's certain things
Yeah.
that you can't explain, but you have to keep going.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
I think that there's a necessary need for science because there's things that you should be able to explain to keep you going.
Mm.
So I think there's a need for both.
They need each other.
Oh,
I agree.
absolutely, they need each other. So
I'm
you
gonna tell
know,
you something else. Just a quick note on the pyramids. I don't believe the pyramids were built by slaves. I think these people were working people that went to work every day, did a 9 to 5. I think they were
Yeah.
paid well. I don't think they were slaves. I think that,
You need
they
to show
were
me a
taught,
ruler
yeah,
or
they were
some
taught
type
by a
of
higher.
straight measurement before I believe people did that.
I
Because
think they
you
were, I
need
think they were
something.
taught. I believe they were taught to build that by a higher being. Like, could it be, you want to use the word aliens? I believe they were taught how to do it. I don't think
Man, you
the
know how
pyramid,
perfect in symmetry those bricks are
yes.
to one another?
But let me say this. I believe they were taught how to do it. It wasn't a human that did it. I don't
Te
believe that.
Teach me.
I
Can make
think
some money off of that.
and guess what? They were used for something so simple, I believe. It wasn't this big fascination about the pyramids. I believe they were used to hold something like for, livelihood. I don't
Like a
think
locker or something.
no, like grain or rice or something, like, they were big. I'm telling you, I
actually,
think they
some of
were
the
such
pyramids have
so.
It's just a big shed in the back.
Yes,
Like
some
I
of the
think it was something the way they lived, but I
some of
do not believe
some of
humans
some of the
built it
pyramids
on their own.
and the way they were constructed and things of that sort. If you read on it, some of them were for storage, but some of them were for um, collection of magnetism and energy and things of that sort. If you look at
there
some of
wasn't
these,
one of them was supposed to house the Ark of the Covenant, right?
I don't know about that, but I really don't know about that. To be
I
honest with you,
think
I know that's
that
what
was
Indiana
housed
Jones said,
somewhere.
and that the Ark of
Who was
the
the
Covenant
country?
was
I think
located
it's
in the
Ethiopia that says they have it.
huh?
The Ark
The
of the
Ark of the
Covenant.
Covenant?
Yeah, I think it's Ethiopia. It was somebody that did. They. You can't go
Well,
see it.
it was actually Germany during the World War One and 2 was looking for it, but um, the simple
That's
thing
deep.
is that I think some of these pyramids are, I think they were used for more so identification purposes. I think they were basically probably like we call them buoys.
Buoys.
You know how buoys identify when you're on sea, a certain part of the area.
Mm,
You
I
know,
think I know what you're talking about.
just like when you're
They
swimming. You know how you're swimming and you have the balls and they tell you 10 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Basically, pyramids were measurements.
Yeah.
And the reason is that you have different pyramids at different parts of the world.
They were measuring the world, right? And it's such a precise measurement in between them. Like the one in Africa is at like true north or something like that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I think they were more, they could have multiple because some of them say that they were a collection of energy sources, like thermal at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
I
were
read that.
energy, and then some say that they were like landmarks. So I mean, there's different reasoning. The thing is that we don't know, and that's what I think is so ironic to me and so funny to me, that which makes me think a lot of the stuff that we see is BS. And the reason I say that is
A lot
that
of fluff out there.
you have all this stuff about religion.
Mm.
Jesus said, and God, and he walked down the river in the Nile, and and Mary Magdalene, and washed the feet, right? You have all this stuff, but you have nothing other than hieroglyphics about the pyramids.
Hmm.
Nothing.
About how it was built.
How they were built, who was
Mhm.
there, agriculture, whole civilizations and cultures just wiped out. But,
Mhm.
9,000 or 4,000 years ago, you got me. This guy walked from this place to A to B. It took him 3 days and 4 nights. And he walked across
That's a
water.
good, you,
And
I agree with you. That's a good point. Just to go back, the Ethiopian government does say that they have the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia.
They
Um,
really,
yeah, they say
that's
they
a big
have it.
deal.
Yeah, and it's guarded by a single monk, no access allowed. They believe the reason why they will not prove that they have it, they believe it's disrespect. They don't want no scientific testings or public viewing. They believe all of that is disrespect to the sacred object. So it
Mm,
still remains one of history's mysteries,
sounds like a hoarder.
protected by faith. Yes, yes. Um, so they're never going to show it, I guess, saying
well,
that,
Good for
prove that
them.
they have it.
listen, man, if we
They got a piece of a boat.
take an area and blow it up and just steal their stuff,
Mhm.
right? Why don't we want to touch the Ark of the Covenant? One
I mean, it's so many. Go ahead.
could be we fear it
Exactly.
because we
Yep.
know more about it than we say we do,
Right. Right. Yeah.
right? And two is we don't believe in it. It's one or the other. It's one or
Yeah, I
the
mean,
other.
that's with anything though. I mean, it's always two options. I mean, but I don't know why would a government say that they have this? And this has been for years they've been saying they had this arc.
Because they poor and they
Mhm.
ain't got shit else.
Um,
I don't
Could be
know.
good for the economy.
yeah, I guess.
You
Ethiopia.
know,
Just like
Yeah,
saying
or
that
I mean,
dinosaurs exist
or they
is
could
good for the
actually have
economy.
it, or they could believe it. I don't know. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
they
I
could
I
mean,
mean,
be.
one thing's for sure, where man has the ability to control the narrative, he will. Where man has power, he will abuse it.
right, right.
So it's always tricky getting the information. You just gotta use your own logic.
A
Unc,
perfect
you just touched
example, man.
on something,
People
but
don't even 90% of the people today don't even know why we're at war right
yeah,
Hmm.
at all.
Everybody has their theory.
now. No,
Everybody
but
has their
They
that's
think we need oil.
yeah.
right.
We have the most oil. Our
But
reserves it's not
besides all
about
that,
oil.
the main point is that's a current event,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
and nobody knows why.
right,
God forbid something to happen a couple thousand years ago, and you expect
right,
people to figure it out.
right.
That's
Yeah.
or understand and so forth. I mean, so whatever. But listen, guys, I definitely do appreciate the combo. This is
This
sweet.
was a great conversation. Definitely was. I
Did
think
we get you? You believe in dinosaurs now?
not at all. Y'all proved nothing. Y'all gave me
Well,
nothing that said, let me
and
think
Shelly,
about this.
do me a favor. Just watch the show over again and
Uh-huh.
write down some stuff,
hmm
right?
I'm gonna watch it again, but I'm still gonna say, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't believe y'all had no evidence to say, y'all proved no evidence that these dinosaurs existed 230 million years ago.
Listen,
There's
There
if you're
was
certainly
gonna
no
evidence.
Earth
you're gonna time me
230 million years
down,
ago.
if you're gonna time me down to the timeline,
It's all about the timeline.
you got me. But you got me because I mean, I'm horrible at times. But if you're going to say that there were no dinosaurs,
hmm That's what I'm saying.
that's where you lose me.
I think it's
That's
the
where you lose me.
I think it's the biggest hoax. And I
You
think
just think
everybody's
you just think
fascinated by it
humans
because they
came out.
gave us a visual. They gave us a visual. So
You
everybody's
just think
fascinated about it.
I mean, man came out wearing Levi's.
What?
She
What?
just think she just think they just popped
Is
up
it?
with a Coke and a
It,
Pepsi.
I think it's fear. I think you just don't want a lizard walking around that big. You don't want to
I
even
can't
believe that
believe
it ever
anything
happened.
ever walked around that big.
You know what?
I
And I
don't
remember
believe
when you were
anything
young,
like that
Shelly.
ever walked around.
Shelly, remember when you were young, you used to hate Slee Stacks? Remember that?
Hey, who?
Stacks. Remember you used to have a
What
nightmare
is-
about Slee Stacks?
What's Slee Stacks?
There's a show back in the day. It was called The Lost World.
Oh, yes, yes.
Used to
I
hate them
remember that
Slee
show.
Stacks.
Yes, I remember that. Yes,
Frankie,
yes,
they were
indeed.
little lizard men, right?
Right.
That were strong as heck.
Right. This
And
was
your
a
mom,
time,
your mom
this
used to
was a time,
Hey,
it was dimensions, right? It was something like that. That's what how it was
yeah,
created.
they went through like a waterfall or a hurricane or earthquake.
Something
They
went
got
to
like the center of the earth or something.
right, right.
So this
But there you
dinosaur
go. So
this dinosaur denial is just a microcosm of a bigger issue
It was
with
a
the
fear.
lizard men.
I think I think
Yeah, yeah. I remember her
I
running
didn't
out the
believe
room one
it
day.
then,
Slee
and I'm
Stacks,
not gonna believe it now. I didn't
Slee
believe
Stacks.
it then.
Hands
I
waving
didn't
in the
believe
air
in
like,
no time travels. I didn't believe that you went through a dimension that could really happen. I don't believe that could really happen. I don't. I just don't. And they took you back to the dinosaur era. Okay, money franchise. Here we go. Yes, I
yeah,
don't
yeah. That's
believe
where it
it.
started, Frank. I remember that now. After this, I'm
Yeah.
like, she don't believe what was the oh dang, I forgot.
Whatever, man.
She came, hey
Whatever.
Frankie, you know those Air Jordans at the car dealerships with the hands?
Yeah, the wacky waving flag.
That's how she came running out the room.
Anyway,
Inflatable
Frankie,
tube
do you have
man.
a last? What's your last opinion on this discussion right here?
I mean, it
Wait a
was
minute. Do
great.
you believe in dinosaurs? Let's start there.
Yes, I still believe in dinosaurs. I believed in them before the pod
Do you
started.
believe,
I
do
believe in
you
them
believe in
after it
the
ends.
timeline?
I don't have a thumb on the timeline. I don't believe anybody does, which is your only argument here. Is to come at the timelines.
That is
Completely
the most
understand.
important part.
I would attack that too if I was on your
I
side.
tend to agree. Frankie, I tend to disagree, Shelley. The timeline is not the most important part. Whether or not there were dinosaurs or not is the most important part.
Listen, that time they go together. That timeline, there was no Earth 230 million years ago. There was just no Earth. There was
I think
nothing
that
here.
No Earth.
That
I think
timeline is ridiculous.
I think that
Ridiculous.
evolution on a mass scale is hard to prove unless it's in hindsight. Um, I do believe that there's just so much more to the God story, the story of God, the story of human beings.
Mhm.
I never thought that there could still be more transcripts out there. There could still be missing pieces of information,
Right. Yeah.
holes that need to be filled.
Mhm.
I'm really appreciative of this conversation. Um, I just know I'm part of a really wacky family. You know, some people don't believe in dinosaurs. I got an uncle that thinks some drunk guy wrote the Ten Commandments. Um, so yeah, this is great.
I believe in free thought.
Listen, I think this was such a fascinating discussion today. I mean, of course, they're going to gang up on me and say, "Hey, you're so way off." But I think I did make them think at least about the timeline. The timeline is key, y'all. But with that being said, I mean, listen. Great conversation. If you want us to dive into more prehistoric topics, hit us
No,
up because
no.
we can go on and on. Lost civilizations, aliens, we can go on and on. As you can see, we've been on here for about 2 hours now, this guy. So we can go on and on and on it. I thank y'all for watching today. And hey, listen, have a great rest of y'all Saturday.
Peace.